Does the state of Tennessee produce enough talent to win a national championship? That's what we'll be finding out today in a very special challenge, because this college asked me to win it all with them. Every year, I narrow down to one school to rebuild first on the new game, and Middle Tennessee's social team has produced some of the best pitches I've ever received as a recruit. Take, for example, when they edited me in as a prospect to College Football 25, or maybe you like the Grand Rapids nod in their final pitch on one of these graphics. The point is, every year they come back around with more graphics, with more slogans like Bordeaux to the Borough. They even gave away a copy of College Football 26 to one of you. And they actually invited me out on an official visit that I didn't end up taking, but it was only because I got way too busy. After all of this effort, though, from Middle Tennessee, I have still never rebuilt them on a college football game, but that is going to change today. Now, I don't know how we're going to win it all only recruiting from the state of Tennessee, but with a recruiting pitch like this one, I felt like we had to make it challenging. And don't get too excited when you see top players on our roster like Jakail Middlebrook, because he wants to transfer due to conference prestige. At quarterback, neither one of these freshmen want to stick around either. So it's time to start recruiting from Tennessee only, and neither one of these 4-star quarterbacks has locked us out, but the 3 stars and the 2 stars have. So either we sign a 4-star quarterback or we're going to have to sign some 1-stars. I have also noticed that at positions like cornerback, at positions like safety, there is almost no talent in the state this season, so this is a really big issue. But that's just something that we're going to have to work around. If we start looking at our coordinators, we have a recruiter and we have a motivator, but who I'm more excited about is Bodie Reeder, because he is so close to being an elite recruiter at the quarterback position. He just needs to choose to upgrade this one more time. And he actually gives me the confidence that we could sign one of these 2 4-star quarterbacks from the state this season. Neither one's going to be a gem. If you look at some of the schools interested, though, where we're going to run into a problem is if Georgia or Tennessee wants one of these guys. And speaking of Tennessee, one thing I've decided to make this rebuild even harder is the Volunteers are going to be on our schedule every single season, which is not good because we play in Conference USA. If there will ever be a moment where we have some playoff hopes, it's going to be because we went undefeated, and we also have to make sure a lot of these guys don't transfer, which is why when we get opportunities like this one to beat an FCS school, we cannot lose. Judging off of the fact that Cameron Lacey had 178 yards and Player of the Week, I figured we'd come out on top, but we gave up 21 points, and it's time to go to Tennessee. They are going to be the most frustrating school out of our state in this video. I think Vanderbilt's kind of going to fall off again. As you can see, they've already locked us out from one of the 2 4-star quarterbacks. But you know what? Arkansas didn't make that big of a jump on this 5-star edge, and these schools also aren't putting much effort into getting that guard. So I might have to sort around how we're spending our hours. At the moment, we got them spread all the way down to some 2-star players, like the only special teams guy in the state. You also might have noticed there were 2 gyms I found in this class, and both of them are receiver, which would be awesome. But for now, let's just worry about what is in front of us. I can play 3 games this season, and I am choosing to play our first game of this season against Tennessee. How I've been doing my rebuilds recently is I don't hop in until the 4th quarter, so it really challenges us to build a good roster off of the field. But the problem with that is when you're facing off against a team like Tennessee, you need to play almost perfectly, and my first play was an interception. You can't make this up. It's not my fault we're losing, though. After holding the Volunteers to a field goal, there's still like this slight bit of hope that I had, but they made it more clear than ever we were never going to stand a chance. But that's okay. I'm more infatuated with what we're doing in recruiting anyway, and the neat thing about only recruiting out of the state of Tennessee is all of these visits are going to be incredibly cheap. It has also given me the exact outline of the other 2 games that I want to play, and that is going to be against Kent State and Missouri State. Now, we are coming off of a loss on the road at Kennesaw State, but they're one of the better teams in our conference. We also beat Akron, so we're 2-2, but the reason I chose those games is because we had visits scheduled, except one of our visits has locked us out before we could even get him to come to our school. Apparently, he'd rather go to an SEC one. But I can't even blame him. We have not built up Middle Tennessee yet. It is going to take time to win some of the 4-stars from our state. Since that's where we've directed a lot of our recruiting resources in Season 1, though, we do need to win some battles for 4-stars. And that is why coming out on top of this one is so crucial. Now, we have Kent State on a 3rd and 6. They go to the flat. We wrap up their punting, which is great. We're going to get this football back. We don't have the biggest crowd for this game, but again, we got a lot of work to do here at Middle Tennessee. We weren't just going to have a huge crowd on day 1. Lacey can't get loose. But it looked like he was about to return that one for a touchdown. We're still in a great spot as we start this drive. What a cut from Middlebrook. Until Jakail decides to transfer away from Middle Tennessee, we're going to give him plenty of touches. On 3rd down, we're able to find Lacey. He is open once again, making plays for us. He also spins into the end zone. And I know it doesn't look like he can carry a lot, but he is carrying this entire team right now. We're going to have to figure out if he likes it here and if he is willing to stay or if he's going to want to transfer after this game. Third down for Kent State. We get the sack. And on fourth down, maybe we get them off the field. It's just going to be a deep shot. I don't even trust myself to click on. He was already in double coverage. We locked down. And if we pick up one more first down, we should be impressing some of those 4-star defenders that visited. I wish we were still in the running for the edge, but he decided to lock us out. He didn't want to come. And he's just one of the players that we wasted resources on, but I don't care. This is exactly what we were looking for, and we need to do it again. It is the only way that we're going to see some commitments. I don't like that the 3-star is the only one that has popped up, but that should tell you everything you need to know about Andy Church, about Jordan, who is clearly going to choose Clemson. We are just going to be wasting resources if we keep on trying to get him. We don't even have a hard sell. And we even got back into the bio for Colt Gaguire, but I think Arkansas beats us out in the long run because they have a better pipeline. Hang on. We have a decent hard sell here. Anyway, if we're going to land 4-star quarterback Sidney Floyd, it's going to be due to a visit against Missouri State. Our hard sell isn't the best, but we have 3 complimentary players here. And it's also an opportunity for us to get our first Conference USA win. I really hope that we can impress the fans that have taken their time to come out here. And we find ourselves in a very similar situation that we were just in when we took on Kent State. Now, if you're a 4-star quarterback visiting, even if you can win a game like this, I don't know if it's an impressive enough win to make you want to commit here, but my real hope is some of these guys just want to stay home near family. That throw is going to be dropped, and that puts us on a 3rd and 10. We're going to trust Tipton to make this catch, but our tight end didn't get enough separation, so we're going for the 49-yard field goal, and it's down the middle. There isn't as much pressure on us in this game because even if we are to win, I don't know if it guarantees we get the 4-star QB. In fact, I'm leaning more towards that it won't, but we still would like to come out on top, and on 3rd and 12, they took a check down. I don't know why they did that or punted it back to us, but they are trying to get a stop now. They've been using timeouts. And if there's one thing I can give a lot of credit to in this game, it's our offensive line showing up. To win this one, though, they're going to have to do it one more time. We have flipped this run because I thought our numbers on this side were better, but it is not looking great. 3rd down, our crosser not open. I think we're just going to have to force it in there anyway. And they get the pick out of it too. That's even worse. Lacey was so good for us in the last game, but he couldn't get open there. And even worse, they scored a touchdown in like 3 plays. That means if we're going to win this game and impress our visiting 4-star quarterback, we got to score a touchdown. And so far, so good. We're actually going to look to a check down here, see if Butler can get anything going. But that was just a 2-yard gain for us, and we are going to just get rid of it for a flag. The one time I'm smart and I don't force it, I decide to throw it away. It's intentional grounding, making it 3rd and 18. Lacey is getting pressed over on that left side, which meant we had to find Tipton. I really can't tell how good of a receiver he is, but the same play back-to-back works. And we still have 3 timeouts. They're probably not expecting a run. Might as well mix in one before using our first timeout. Look at that speed from Middlebrook. He's just got one guy to beat. And they got him. I was going to say we have to be smart about how we use this final 30 seconds, but Lacey is literally not motioning over so we can snap this play. I guess we're just going to take it down to about 15 seconds, call a timeout, and then we'll call something different. We have a few chances to get into the end zone. Our first attempt is to our tight end. And that right there is how we are going to beat Missouri State. When I saw a commitment pop up too, I thought that we had him. But it turns out we couldn't seal the deal on quarterback Sidney Floyd. I don't know if we're going to get any of these 4-stars from Tennessee. I mean, even Andy Church, who is our best chance, will most likely go to a top 2 battle that we won't win. But you can't say we didn't try. We put in as much effort as we could, and at least Andy Church wants to come to Middle Tennessee. For Sidney Floyd, I think in the long run, Missouri is going to win this battle because we're just not getting a huge boost every week. In fact, we might go back to sending the house. And I'm just going to check in, see if there's any players in Tennessee that we could still go after. We missed the first time. Looks like our playing style deal breaker is currently high enough to get a 3-star on our board, but the rest of these guys aren't going to be that good. So by the time we get to the end of this season, I'm nervous for the type of roster we're going to be working with next year. Now, on the bright side, even though Delaware beat us 41-7, we won 3 of our next 4. So as we head into our final game against New Mexico State, we're sitting at 7-4. It's not enough to be in contention for for a conference championship, but it is enough for us to be bowl eligible. And it turns out we're going to win that game as well, as we had almost 150 more total yards of offense than they did. However, again, that is only enough for us to finish around mid-table in Conference USA. We aren't in the conference championship game, and I think most of our roster is going to be leaving us. I mean, Nicholas was always gone as our quarterback. He didn't have a good season at all, but he's a senior. He's graduating. We actually have to hope that one of these freshmen don't transfer, because at the moment, we've not signed a QB. We also know that Middlebrook is going to want to transfer to a bigger school. So is Ricky Hunt Jr. And then on the receiving front, some of these guys are seniors, but every single one of them already has their deal breaker met. Cameron Lacey was our #1 target I was excited about. Now he's a 2-star with normal dev, so it's not like he's somebody we have to keep around, but he didn't like our playing style. I just don't understand what else we could have done. We did end up getting a 4-star guard in Anthony Vick, though. Sidney Floyd chose Missouri, which we always knew that was going to happen. What I'm actually most upset about is Georgia Tech came out of nowhere to win on this 2-star right guard. He would have been far more useful to us than he would have been for one of those schools. And then for some of these other battles that we lost, we did visits, but you just don't get them all. A lot of these commitments as well are almost guaranteed playing time. So if they're not good and we don't put them on the field, they're transferring too. And I think next season, because we have this many players that want to leave, 30 of them can enter the portal in 1 year, we're going to have a fully new team. I am really curious to see who we get in our bowl game though, because if that's an easier game, we could finish this season 9-4. That's not happening. Never mind. I was hoping our team prestige could get a bump, but Kansas State scores 36 points per game. That is 13 more points per game than we do, and they're also a top 20 team. To get prepared for this game though, we needed to eat well, and Uber Eats, the sponsor of today's video, makes that really easy. I know I've talked about it before, but I stay busy, and one of the best supports to that has actually been Uber Eats when I don't have any time to cook. They have thousands of restaurants to choose from, giving me all sorts of options. And lunch is coming up, so I'm actually about to place an order right now. Of course, using the app, it's really easy to do that, and you'll find new deals popping up every day too. My personal favorite one is if I can find a buy one get one free, because then I just get 2 meals for one. Anyway, though I found what I wanted, I placed my order. Your app will let you know how far away it is. And now I wait, but while doing so, I might as well tell you about the special offer that you can get with Uber Eats before my food shows up on my doorstep. If you use my code Bordeaux15, you'll get $15 off your first order with a minimum basket size of $20. You could also just click the first link in my description or scan the QR code on screen. And I hope just like me, you can find something great to have for either lunch or dinner, but now that we're fed, it's time to play this game. We're gonna be lucky if this is even somewhat close by the time we get to the 4th quarter. And this entire game has just been an offensive struggle for us. 4th and 10, trailing by 21. We're really looking to convert here, but where's our line? I'm starting to understand why Sidney Floyd, the 4-star quarterback, didn't want to commit here. And taking a look at the playoff bracket, Penn State was able to win it all. Good for them. We can only hope that is us in the future, but how? How is it supposed to be us when any player with the slightest bit of impact on this team wants to transfer away? Now, we do have a little bit of good news. I don't see quarterbacks here, which means for at least one more season, Roman Gagliano is going to return. But we have to try and persuade guys like Middlebrook to also come back, and that's not happening. Amorian Walker has some really good abilities as well. He doesn't like our pro potential, so that's why he's gone. But what about this 67 overall cornerback? I mean, we know we're going to need some defensive backs. That's actually a big deal because we lost a lot of them to graduation, and we know that's the one position that Tennessee just didn't produce in high school recruiting. If you think these 1-star corners are going to cut it, you have just lost your mind. And it was interesting to see what players are from the state of Tennessee that have entered the transfer portal. Marcel Reed and Ty Simpson are both from Tennessee, but they were not interested in our school. I am seeing a quarterback and some corners, so that was a major plus. Now, what grades are we going to be selling these kids on? Well, championship contender as a C+ is actually a little better than I was thinking. Our stadium atmosphere is no good. Our average home attendance is 8,755. Plus, we know our conference prestige is never going to be too high. Academic prestige is almost an F. There's not much going on. So the real answer to that question is we're just going to send the house and hope that there's no other competition. Obviously, some of the players we care about the most are these cornerbacks and then this quarterback, George McIntyre, but it looks like there are a couple schools with tier 4 pipelines that really want him. So without being able to hard sell either, I think we kind of have an idea on how this is going to go, but if we schedule him for a week 4 visit and then we do a bunch of complimentaries, maybe we have a chance. For a lot of these commits, it was all riding down to National Signing Day, but I've already seen a couple cornerback commits, haven't had any luck at the quarterback position. And look at us signing guys like Josh Day. Doesn't this just get you fired up about the future of the Blue Raiders? It's time for the moment of truth. Are we going to have a quarterback that might not transfer immediately next season? And that is not it. George McIntyre would rather play for San Diego State, but I can't blame him, I guess. Though, hang on, let's circle back to this. Why does he not have a pipeline, even though he's from Tennessee, but schools like San Diego State and Arizona have a Tier 4 pipeline? I forgot that was a whole bug in this game. The transfers pipelines are broken. It's only for some players, though. Like, the reason we lost this cornerback was just because Vanderbilt had a better pipeline and they're a better school. But we literally struck out on every quarterback we went after this year, even though we got Anthony Vick to protect him, a 4-star guard with star development. We got elite development on Andy Church. He's from Antioch. I looked at an apartment in Antioch when I was trying to move to Nashville, by the way. Just a random little side rant. And honestly, all the things I read online, they said Antioch was going to be awful. I didn't think it was that bad, but I also didn't choose to live there. I moved back to Kentucky, so I guess take that as what you will. For the entire Nashville area and suburbs surrounding it, I just didn't like it that much. I flew up there twice from Florida before deciding on coming back to Kentucky. I really thought I was going to live there. George McIntyre just had impact development. Not too upset about losing out on him. Caleb Beasley with star development, that is a great signing. The transfer portal actually saved our defensive back room. Our recruiting class was ranked 49th in the country. I think that might be the best in Conference USA, and it is by a wide margin. So even though it feels like we got shafted in a few battles, this is a very strong start for recruiting only from Tennessee. The question becomes, are these guys good enough to develop and win it all with? Not only do these guys have to develop well, but we also have to be able to maintain these players. We could move this athlete over to safety and use our depth there. But even after we did that, taking a look at this receiving room, I know we haven't hit training results yet, but our best 3 guys are all true freshmen. That's really alarming, and I have decided we're just going to stick with auto progression on in this video. So that gives me even less control. With star development, I'm not shocked Caleb Beasley is going to be our best player. The transfer still could potentially have 3 years with us. What's he care about? Playing time? He will 100% not leave. But Roman Gagliano is not progressing at all. He didn't go up a single overall, and he still wants to transfer. He's not the only one either. As you can see, there are so many players that are still going to leave us at the end of this season. For the first couple years, I think we are losing like 40 or 50 guys every single time. That's between transfers and graduation, which is why we're not going to be worried about encouraging guys to transfer for a while. It has come to my attention, though, we have 180 skill points to spend. I'm not quite sure where I want to use these or what pathway I want to go down. They nerfed recruiter so hard that I just don't think this is really going to be worth it for us to do. But I also feel like motivator, even down to tier 3, doesn't make that much of a difference on how big of a boost your guys get in the offseason. Ultimately, what I've decided to do is we're going to purchase recruiter. We're going to spend just enough inside there, so if we want to unlock strategist in the future, we can. We have to win 4 bowl games first, and I think that's going to take a long time. So for now, we're going to boost up the tactician and max out a lot of different positions already. We had plenty of coach points to spend. It's going to give us a 69 overall defense. I think this is very similar to the team that we had last year. Alex Broom comes in as a senior running back, 78 overall. Either him or Jaheim Merriweather will start for us there. Not a huge drop off at that position, but I'm just going to have to get used to a lot of these guys I get excited about. I see a dev trait like impact on Kason Stokes as a receiver, but then look at his deal breaker. He is gone. Knowing that, to see that there are only 9 seniors and 8 juniors on this team actually has me feeling a little bit better. Hopefully some of these guys stick around for the entirety of their 4-year career. And the dopamine hit we're going to get if there are some good quarterbacks to go after from the state of Tennessee would be wonderful. Except these are our only options. A 2-star and a 1-star. The 1 3-star has locked us out due to brand exposure. This can't be real. I mean, look at these guys' stats. Either 72 throw power with 51 medium accuracy or 75 throw power. And that's the one position that we could have actually done a little bit better in because Bodie Reader got to tier 4 in elite recruiter so we can put more hours into quarterbacks. This is what happens when you decide to only recruit from one state, though. I hope both of these players don't leave us, even though their deal breakers are going to be met. And I got to go through and start deciding which guys we're going to give a red shirt to. Between that and doing recruiting, though, I have to say, this entire setup for this season is absolute trash because for a couple of the 4-stars, there were 3 4-stars we could go after. 2 of them are bust. We have Tennessee as competition on one of the defensive tackles. The 2-star quarterback South Alabama wants, and I have no idea how this season's going to go. We cannot afford to lose many games. The reason for that is championship contender. If this drops, then a lot of the players we're recruiting are no longer interested. And sure enough, it has already fallen after 1 week. The question becomes, did we lose to an FCS school, or was it just not an impressive enough win? It turns out we won 38-17. If we look ahead to our next couple games before we have to take on Tennessee. These are all winnable matchups. But they're also games that if we lost, I wouldn't be shocked because typically Marshall's got a solid team. Just like that, we pick up a loss. Championship contender falls to a C-, so 9 more players want to transfer. And it was an overtime loss as well, which is just painful for us. After we get past like these top 10 players on our board, I really am not excited about almost any prospects that are on here. I just cannot believe that we've already been locked out of a couple of them. For Monty Ash, though, the 1 4-star athlete, it seems like we will be able to land. Remember, he's a bust. I've decided he'll be coming in for a visit next week against Eastern Michigan alongside the 2-star QB. And I'm just happy that we won our first conference game, giving us a better shot at winning Conference USA. We all know that in the near future, we're going to pick up a loss against Tennessee. So this is a good chance to get another win in the win column against Eastern Michigan. If you look at the position that we're in, though, we at least got a flag on that play. We are trailing by 4. And it's not like we were open there anyway. This team feels worse at basically every position compared to last year. So I could definitely see us losing plenty of games in sim this year. But look at Stokes getting some separation. Finally, we have reached the end zone, which might still all be for nothing. We have to be able to hold Eastern Michigan. And they tested my user. He's out of bounds. Here we go. 4th and 10. Do not give up anything dumb. Of course, we let them. And I'm not just worried that they're going to get a field goal out of this drive. I'm afraid that they're going to get a touchdown, too. Someone is always open. Now, whether or not they catch it is a completely different story. They just let that ball hit them in the helmet. Check down was there. But I feel like I haven't come out in double mug in a couple of months. Let's see what sending 7 does to this quarterback. And that was perfect protection. First down. Now we're going to drop our guys back. And I think they got multiple guys open. It's another run. We're not going to be able to get out of this formation. And I'm afraid we might have been caught lacking. Thankfully, they went short. Okay, the Blue Raiders are in field goal range right now. Either we get them out of it by making a huge defensive play, or they're going to be able to tie up the game. We really want to avoid overtime. This is the most important one we're hopping into with the amount of visits that are coming. I have a feeling that kick's going in. Don't get me excited. They're trying to edge us. But I'm not going to let EA edge me today. 12 seconds on the clock. Do we think that we can pull off a miracle and get into field goal range? Hang on. I know what you're thinking. This game's over, but it's not. There's 5 seconds left still, and we're trying to head to the sideline. Did we catch it? We did. I think we caught that ball. That was just a prayer. I was spamming buttons. Eastern Michigan doesn't have a timeout to ice us either. I swear, if our freshman kicker misses this kick, we're never forgiving him. Eastern Michigan, we are just taking down. We have to go back and watch that catch, though. And it was Case and Stokes that brought it in. You can see it a little bit of a size advantage here, but this is the young receiver I got excited about before figuring out he already wanted to transfer. Can you blame him, though? At the moment, the future of this program looks like it's going to be JoJo Bugsby. And we might as well go ahead and take these 4 stars off of our board. We know that we're not going to win those battles. It's going to be a long year. Our championship contender's about to fall further from just a C-. But on the bright side, even though Tennessee smoked us 72-3, everybody else in our conference is so bad that we've been picking up wins and we're 6-2 already bowl eligible. If we can just win a couple more games, maybe it's going to take 3 of our final 4. We'll be in the Conference USA Championship. And it looks like Delaware is one of the better teams left on our schedule, so we're going to face them. It does say that they're just a 54 overall team, so maybe they are horrendous. But I know overalls don't tell the full story in this game, so I'm not shocked they kept it close. At the moment, they got us on a 4th and 4, where we're going to hit our drag underneath and just get it. But don't even get me started on our rushing attack. We have 21 carries for 54 yards. And our offense simply doesn't look good. I mean, we're not getting open there. Forced it in there for no reason. But Delaware hasn't been able to move it on us anyway. That is a safety. It's honestly just sad that we won this game 21-0. We didn't play very well, and let's see what happens against our rivals, Western Kentucky. I think we can sim this. It was a visit week for some of the last players on our board, including many 2-stars. That's all we're able to go after now. But I have to see it as an impressive win. We got the job done. We did sign Monty Ash, by the way. We got a lot of these 3-stars. One of them were locked out for our playstyle. Was just not good enough. But more than half of our board is 2-star prospects, and that's a big issue. I've also continued to simulate because I'm just expecting us to win. FIU, though, they're 7-4, and they are also 3rd place in our conference. We're in the conference championship either way. We probably don't need to play them, but if we lose this game to end the season, I'll probably regret it. This screen alone kind of lets us know what the result was. We are ranked number 21 in the country, so I think we won, but at the same time, FIU is in this game, and I would think Liberty would be if we beat them. So I'm a little confused with this win, how they still made it, but we're about to play them them in back-to-back weeks. Apparently, Liberty lost as well. FIU is the team that I decided was going to be our first rebuild. I picked FIU over Middle Tennesse. But now in just 2 years, we've got the Blue Raiders inside the top 25, and we might even get the group of 5 spot in the playoff if Boise State isn't able to win their conference championship. It is kind of wild to me how we just ran through our conference in season 2. I sure didn't think we were that good. And this could go for one of the greatest starts we've had to a rebuild on the conference success side. This roster is nowhere near a championship level, and it might take like 10 years just to get them there, even if we won every year. I'm clearly getting a little too far ahead of myself already, though, because you see the situation that we're in as we enter the 4th quarter. We're with a backup quarterback. That explains part of the problem. Anderson Lofton should not be out there if we wanted to win this game, but clearly we're dealing with some injuries. Hand it off to Broom, get the first. And then I'd wishful thinking that Roman was going to just be back in this game, but he's got a foot fracture. He's probably out for the rest of the year. In fact, most of our defense is out too. I don't think we're winning the conference this year. We're not in a good spot for it. I'm telling you, when I have to sim to the 4th quarter, especially when we get to playoff games, it makes it very, very hard to come out on top. We're literally just throwing this up and hoping for the best. We don't have the speed to beat these guys deep either, though. Not sure why that was our plan. On 4th and 10, he stopped his route. Why would you stop your route? You would have been open. I think we're about to lose to FIU. All because everybody decided to get injured. This stop won't matter. Our issue is we currently cannot move the ball. And if you think it's bad this year when these are our quarterbacks, next year we don't have a quarterback outside of a 2-star that wants to play for us. I did not think he was there. Here I was thinking we were just going to be cruising to all sorts of success after having a 10-2 season. But now we're about to be really challenged because we're losing our conference championship game, and both of our quarterbacks still want to transfer away. John Mateer won back-to-back Heisman trophies at Oklahoma. Our bowl game is against Louisiana, so this is winnable. But again, Stanley Anderson Lofton doesn't like our conference prestige. Roman doesn't like our brand exposure. Both those quarterbacks are gone. Rushing-wise, Alex Broom doesn't like our playing style. He's a senior. It won't really matter. But as I'm looking at these deal breakers, outside of receiver, I'm seeing so many top guys that want to leave us no matter what. At the moment, unless we get lucky in the transfer portal, the future quarterback of Middle Tennesse next year is JoJo Busby. So we actually just need to appreciate who we have as we play this bowl game against Louisiana, because it is only going to get worse from here. In my head, once you get to this stage in most rebuilds, you're just going to cruise to more conference championships, hopefully get to the playoffs and keep building off of it. But since we can only recruit out of Tennessee, we have no guarantees we'll have positions filled in the future. This was a dumb challenge. This was a dumb idea. At least we got our starting quarterback back for this matchup. We're literally just throwing up a jump ball here, and we ended up snagging that. So we take an 11-point lead to open up the 4th quarter. From there, we just run away with this game. This is the strongest impact that I've made on one that I've got to play. And even though we had that crushing conference championship loss to FIU, we still finish inside the top 25 above Alabama. John Mateer fell short in the national championship to USC. I think Oklahoma lost to Penn State last year as well. So an unfortunate end to the career of the back-to-back Heisman winner, Chauncey Gooden. He just transferred in due to championship contender last season, but he isn't satisfied with ours already. Maybe we'll be able to get him once the transfer portal period runs around. Typically, you can convince those players to stay. Roman also not persuaded. Our other quarterback, though, did not enter. And if you look at some of the seniors that we're losing, outside of guys like Alex Broom, maybe one of these corners or defensive backs, I'm not too worried. It's really just one position that scares me, and there are quarterbacks from Tennessee that are interested, like Hank Brown. I don't care if he's a 1-year rental. I will take that. We could also get Reggie Forrest. He's a 2-star transfer from Memphis, but we need any options we can get. And if you were wondering how good Chauncey Gooden is compared to other portal players, he's listed as the number 54 guy in the transfer portal. He was a 4-star transfer. That's the type of talent that we just lost. I will say, after 1 week of the portal, I'm relieved to see we are the only team going after Hank Brown. We have guaranteed a half-decent quarterback for next season. Reggie Forrest could come in as a freshman and be solid too. And it just hit me, is Hank Brown the only redhead that exists in college football 26? I just feel like I have never seen a player, at least a generated recruit, that is red hair. Now, I think Hank Brown is real since he's older. So we got the new Red Rocket at the helm, but what we don't have is one of these tight ends and running backs to go with him because Vanderbilt is so annoying. They steal a player from us that wants playing time, and then a year later, like on Sensible, they transfer to our school because they don't give them playing time. Tennessee just has a really good pipeline. They were always going to take away Hewitt, and there's no way this class finishes as highly ranked as the last one. It's 56th in the country, still good enough to be the best in our conference, but only by 8 spots. And we're just going to need to hope that Tennessee produces some better high school recruits this next season that want to play for the Blue Raiders. For being a bust, 4-star Monty Ash still has impact development as an athlete. We're probably going to move him elsewhere from receiver. And if he wasn't our highest overall receiver, Austin Cantrell as a gadget could be a really good option for us to move over to quarterback in the future. That's also something I've remembered. If we ever get really desperate, it is something I have in the back of my mind. Now, this athlete is a star dev kid. He could play on our offensive line, but he could also be on our defensive line. It's a hard decision to make. I just think offensive linemen are harder for us to find. And then Monty Ash, of course, could go at all sorts of different positions, but I'm thinking tight end could be a better fit for him if he's already a 75 overall. It might seem like we already have way too many players at this position, but either they're going to be gone in the next couple of years or they're low overalls with bad dev traits. And this is what we're waiting to see. We want guys on our team to get dev trait upgrades like our corners. That'll come when we perform well on the field. So now Marcus Gorey is the same overall as Caleb Beasley. Both of these kids are juniors. They're looking to get drafted into the NFL after they stay for 2 more years. It's also no question that Hank Brown is going to be our quarterback for this next season. Just a 76 overall senior, but it gives us another year to hopefully find an answer. I like his 96 throw power. And I also think he has a lot more talent to throw to this season than we did the year before. Josh Rooks, we got out of the portal. He's star dev, but he cares about championship contenders, so we're going to have to get B for him to stay. This is why unlocking stuff like strategist will be so important, but we still need to win 3 more bowl games before it's possible. The second that we can get tier 3, lower the bar at most positions, we'll keep a lot of guys around. And it'll also open the door for us to have a chance at recruiting more players from our state. Now, there are a lot of 4-stars open originally going into this year. We also have a 4-star quarterback in Marshall Couch. So that immediately becomes my main focus, but Tennessee's going to be interested. Georgia's interested. I just hope that this kid's a gym, and he's not. It still feels like we have no choice but to compete with schools like Tennessee with their tier 5 pipeline, though, because that is the only way that we're going to get a good quarterback out of this class. I don't think I even put another quarterback on our board. And I almost know that we're going to lose a lot of these battles for 4-stars, but there were more 4-star gyms than we've ever seen before. And we're just going to go for the best players in the state of Tennessee and see what happens. However, after just a couple of weeks, it's so apparent that we're not going to win some of these. Like, Georgia just took a huge lead on gym linebacker Tyrone Pena. Marshall Couch is going to Tennessee. But look at John Westerman. I think we can get his hard sell correct here, and this could be a 4-star edge that we land. We're also competing against Miami for Roy Tryon. We don't know anything about his hard sell yet, but we could schedule him for a visit against Akron. And it just hit me. If we schedule Marshall Couch for a visit against Tennessee, and then we beat Tennessee, we could still win out on him. It feels like the only way we could do that. They're the number 5 team in the country. We beat an FCS school. We beat South Alabama. We also get to host Tennessee this year. But we are trying to make up a huge gap between us and the Volunteers. Did we at least get his hard sell correct? We did. It is time to go ahead and get this one over with, though. I have a feeling that we're about to be ripped apart by the Volunteers. This is listed as the game of the week. And I know Vanderbilt's the school that's a lot closer to Murfreesboro. They're like 30 minutes apart because Middle Tennesse sits on the outside of Nashville. But I thought it'd be much harder if we had to play Tennessee every year instead of Vanderbilt. Though it turns out they are a bunch of frauds. Now, I'm actually more concerned that I have to be the one playing, but we forced a fumble in my first play. And why have they not scored on us? Why is it 14-0? Are they even starting the quarterback that they stole from us in the portal? Or was it in recruiting? I can't even remember. I just know that they've been stealing players from us so far. And Hank Brown is doing this against them, who used to play for him. We're kicking a field goal. You know, Hank Brown has to feel like the greatest player of all time to potentially have a 17-0 lead on his former team that refused to play him. But they scored kind of fast. There's still 4 minutes left. There are no guarantees that we actually close this one out. And it's one of the rare times where sim into the 4th quarter has really benefited us. We have to punt it back, though. I am so worried that we're still going to blow this game. That'll at least pin them inside the 15. And we've made them throw it away on their last 2 plays. The hitches aren't open, but it's a run. That was fast. Stopping Deuce Knight consistently is not for the weak We're missing that tackle. They break 2 of them. But guess what? They called a timeout, and they're running the ball here. That's fine. We had an injury timeout for Andy Church, though, our star defensive tackle. And Deuce Knight's going to get into the end zone here, so this one is not done. Do not blow this game. Just recover the onside kick. Okay, that's a good start. We still need a first down. And I feel like when I've been trying to run the football, it just hasn't worked for us at all. All the momentum has swung in Tennessee's direction. They're also going to get a stop on this RPO. We're not getting far. So what do we do on 3rd down? If we can just convert here, we will win this game. Can we get a comeback for Rooks? We're also going to look at our tight end. Man-to-man coverage. Come on. Hang on to the ball. It's a first down. I can't believe they spotted it there. I'm just glad we made the catch in the first place. And Middle Tennesse has done it in year 3. We beat Tennessee. That got me curious at who the Volunteers had played so far, and it was Western Michigan, an FCS school. SMU was somewhat of an impressive win, but they're 1-2. And just like you'd expect, a win like that will get us inside the top 25. It's not a very high ranking, but we've already got there. However, Marshall Couch was there for that game. He visited as we upset Tennessee. And guess what? He still signed with them. I really thought that we were going to get him to change his mind, but we didn't. We have a couple 4-stars visiting against Akron. And the truth is, they were never going to commit, though John Westerman came close. It's just not impressive for us to beat the Zips. I don't think we're coming back on Miami here. Though I will say, I can see why those prospects didn't want to commit. They watched us get outgained by Akron and barely take them down. It's not an impressive result, and we're going to play against FIU because they beat us in the conference championship. They're 3-1. And most importantly, it's going to be their Vice game. This is a new little rivalry that we got going on. It's not just a free win either. In fact, we're in a worse position in this game than we were against Tennessee. On a 3rd and 6, we barely converted. Hank Brown hasn't thrown for a single touchdown. He's thrown 2 picks in this game, and we can't run. It's wild to me how bad we are at moving the football against the Panthers, but what a catch from Cantrell. That keeps this drive alive for a little bit longer, where the run is going nowhere. 3rd and 9 seems like they're going to go with some match coverage, and once again, Cantrell saves us. But at some point, we are going to need to find some other targets, and that's when we hook up with Lockwood, our tight end. I think he's like an 84 overall. He was clutch for us against Tennessee. He can't catch that. So here we go, 3rd and 10. Are we kicking 3 or are we scoring a touchdown? Great blitz. If we don't get a defensive stop, we're not beating FIU. But we know who we have at corner. I do feel like that's our strong side on our team, except, I mean, we're just getting decimated. I left him open. That was our man. I don't typically like to run man-to-man coverage in games like this, but we get the sack. And what could the flag have possibly been on us? Just when you think you've made some huge defensive play, it turns out you haven't. They got a touchdown. And we have 75 seconds to get in field goal range. Now, why are we running the football? I don't know. But Hampton just made that kid miss. He's not the fastest in the world. That is a highlight run, though. Look at that ISO. We got to watch it back. That was one of the cleanest shakes I think I've ever had. Whoop! We're going that way, and then you just excel faster than Leo. The best part is FIU has no timeouts left either, so we're just going to run down the clock. We're going to kick our field goal. We're going to win this game. And this is a team that up until that play literally couldn't run the ball. Kyle Brink, with the game on the line, drills it, and we beat the team that took us down in the conference championship last year. In the same week, we're also going to get John Westerman to commit, so there's our first 4-star. But you can see Duke is probably going to win out on Augustine. Roy Tryon, the gym corner, Miami was able to secure the commitment from. I even think for Elijah Griffin, we don't stand much of a chance because we figured out his hard sell, but we don't have a good visit week. It's not a great hard sell either. What we would really need to do is get a bunch of other complimentary visits for that same week, but as we look at the rest of our board, I don't think there's many players that are going to help with that. I've got an idea though. We're going to take him off of our board for a second, then we're going to put him back on. It means we can reschedule his visit, and we're going to put it in week 11 where we get more of a boost if we take down Western Kentucky. Plus, it gives us time to get him some more complimentaries. Until we get to that moment, we're probably just going to sim. We can only hop into one more game this season. And along the way there, we picked up our first loss. The worst part was it was against New Mexico State in a home game, so we had prospects visiting that saw us lose to them. And it also means we're not currently in first place in Conference USA. Louisiana Tech is, FIU is tied with us, and Western Kentucky. So the Hilltoppers are actually good this year, but it might work out for us on Elijah Griffin because we're still in first place, and we got those visits set up. As you can see though, there's not many commits that we've actually been able to land so far. Tennessee decided they wanted Mitch Coates, and then for this athlete, he was visiting against New Mexico State. It could not have been worse timing, but this is going to be our big week anyway. If we don't win this game, we're sure not signing a 5-star, which would be crazy for Middle Tennessee, but we'd also be on the outside looking into our conference championship. And I think I'd actually prefer to win the conference over even signing a 5-star recruit. Looks like we're taking off with Hank Brown on 3rd and 13. Might as well dive for the end zone as well. I mean, we're up by 18 points. If that's the play that causes us to lose this game, so be it. But we should have had a safety. It's coming. I trust our line to win versus the Hilltoppers. So we get a blowout over our rivals, hopefully impressing the 5-star defensive tackle. And there it is. Welcome to Murfreesboro, Elijah Griffin. Let's just hope he doesn't transfer. I'm sure not giving him a reason to, unlike some of these other players. Like, these guys are unhappy with their playing time, but we're a 9-1 team, and you're like a 60 overall. Now, one of our final 2 games is against a 7-3 team, so it seems like our conference is better than it was the year before. But it looks like things are still going to work out pretty well for us. We ended up beating the Miners by 10 and Sam Houston by 38. So we got another conference championship game against FIU. Louisiana Tech really fell off. I'm also pretty salty right now that Ohio beat us out for a 3-star. I just wasn't expecting that to happen. I realized we've been going after this 3-star gym the way we should have, but there were a decent number of players from Tennessee. Nobody else seemed to go after anyway. Let's just take care of business here. As long as there aren't any surprise injuries that are about to pop up, we should be good. And I like how we're in control here with 7 minutes left. Our running back did a great job giving us the time to get off this throw. Freshman Josh Rooks brings it in. I don't think the receiver wants to transfer anymore. Staying on his feet, too. Look at Hampton go. We are still going to lose a couple main pieces from this squad, like Hank Brown, but a lot of these guys are returning. I just hope that in the transfer portal period, there's a good quarterback available for us to go after. Now, Champ Hampton had the game-ending run against FIU the last time that we played. He's trying to do it again. He's still slow. But most importantly, we've been able to take some more time off of the clock, and Hank Brown looks for Lockwood. What do you do, though, when your 84 overall tight end just fails to catch the ball? I guess we're going with a jet touch pass. This isn't college football 25, but it still has some working in it. Extending our drive for a little bit longer, and that's the cleanest path we've had in a while. It doesn't end the game, but it sure doesn't help JC Evans and FIU that we got in. But just like that, 1-possession game again. They're throwing for the 2-point conversion, and we couldn't get the sack. They're not saying he was in. I'm not sure if the refs made the right call there or not, but maybe it's some home cooking. I'll take it. We need a first down. And Champ Hampton being out there did not help us for that play. Even if he got 7 yards, we had to take an injury timeout, stopping the clock. That annoys me so much, because if we can't get this 3rd and 4, we're most likely punting it, but Clemens has it. Meaning we're still going to need a little bit more help, but I think we just ended the game. Even better, it's spotted as a 2nd and inches, so FIU is going to use their final timeout after we get the first, and we can just take a knee after that to win Conference USA. I'd sure like to think this is the first of many, and when I win awards like the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award, I'm thinking that we're going to be back in that game a ton, because I never win this. In most of my rebuilds, we never see this award. It makes me think that maybe we got into the college football playoff. I mean, we could be a top 5 highest rated conference champion, but I actually think we fell a spot in the polls. So that's thrown me off a little bit. Baylor won't just be an easy team for us to take down either, because they're a higher overall by a lot. This is arguably the most important game of our entire season, though, because if we're going to unlock strategist as a coach, we have to win 4 bowl games. And that's why we need to be able to convert on stuff like this. 4th and 10. We break the tackle with Cantrell. He's off to the races. What a play. We just got that throw out in time as well. Hank Brown, for being a senior, I mean, he came with experience. Maybe that's the type of quarterback we need. He's done an incredible job with this team, and they're leaving Rooks open for a second. Hang on to that ball. I don't know what that kid was doing, but we're taking our free touchdown. And we're trying to get Baylor off of the field on 3rd down, where they just sent this up to the end zone. We're going for the SWAT, and that's all we needed. Headed into this one, with them having Keelan Russell as their quarterback, I was pretty nervous, but right now we're in a good position. And I think we might be missing Lockwood as our tight end more than I was expecting. He's had some big plays for us. Obviously, that last catch was nice. Hampton will get us 14. And all we need is a field goal to get this bowl win. Once again, looking over in Lockwood's direction. What a year for Middle Tennesse, by the way. We were able to beat Tennessee. That result still makes like no sense to me. We weren't able to beat out them for recruits, but with them having a tier 5 pipeline, we might not ever be able to in this video. Outside of recruiting only in like a state like Texas, I feel like since NCAA Football 14, I haven't done challenges where I can only use one state, because this game makes it very hard with the deal breakers and such. But we finally are trying to pull it off. And we're not getting this fourth down. Why is that it? I can't believe that play just went as badly as it did. We're also giving up a huge gain. And I think we just blew this game against Baylor. What type of route was that? Well, do we think we can get them out of field goal range? That's all we can try to do, or let them score. We just got way too complacent, and we're most likely not going to win a bowl because of it. That's a tight throw, but it's on the money. You know, I am a major Hank Brown fan for life after the season he has had for us in this 1 year. Can he layer that ball into that spot too? Okay, maybe he can't do that, but it would have been asking a lot. We're just going to hit our running back, get 6. And Rook should be open off of this slant unless that linebacker immediately goes over and bites there, but he wasn't going to get that. Now, if we're able to score, we're going to have to make a tough decision. But after taking that sack, we better worry about scoring a touchdown first. And we're about to use our final timeout. I'm over here thinking about whether or not we go for the 2-point conversion, though now I think we have just lost this game. This is it, 4th and 12. We could have taken the seam originally. Hank Brown puts it on the money, but we're not in the end zone, so we're going to have one play to score. Snap the ball, snap the ball. Okay, he gets it off. Drag is open. 2-point conversion time. I want to say this is my go-to play for a situation like this, but there's also a chance that Baylor is able to stop it. And they don't. We've won a bowl. It was a close call, but we've had another great year. But if we're ever going to get to the college football playoff, I literally think we have to go undefeated. We're going to be saying goodbye to Hank Brown, who threw for almost 4,000 passing yards. On the rushing side, Champ Hampton was 1 yard short of being a 1,000-yard rusher. And I'm just excited that Josh Rooks, Austin Cantrell, and Tyler Augustine will all be returning next year. They don't want to transfer. We also see our team prestige go up to 2.5 stars, but how many guys are still potentially leaving us? I feel like this is a lot. And I'm really confused why our coach prestige fell from a B grade down to a C+, unless we lost some of our coordinators. I didn't even track that. When it comes to convincing some of these players to return, we're going to be successful on 2 of them. Clemens is gone. When it comes to graduation, the only big loss, in my opinion, is Ty Lockwood and Hank Brown. But we lost our offensive coordinator that gave us a boost on recruiting quarterbacks, and we also got a new defensive coordinator. I'm firing these guys and finding new ones next year. At the end of the day, when we're sitting here looking at our class before the transfer portal period, I think it's going to be the strongest we've had at the top. I mean, we signed 4 stars. We got a 5-star. Of course, it's the strongest at the top. But dev trait-wise, I didn't see any elite development, and Elijah Griffin's only going to have impact. We're also getting to that point where the players available in the state of Tennessee are players that we just didn't successfully recruit when they were coming out of high school. Jesse Perry is not one of those, though. He's transferring. George McIntyre, I recognize this name. He is leaving San Diego State. And that would actually be the perfect answer to our quarterback issue, where if we don't get him, we're going to have to start Reggie Forrest. He is normal development. He was a 2-star out of high school, and his accuracy is not good at all. So that ups the stakes quite a bit, but as you can see, we still aren't considered to have a good pipeline in Tennessee, while some of these out west schools get good pipelines. I don't understand why it's so glitched. Well, it sure didn't take long for 4-star tackle Jesse Perry to lock us out, which is unfortunate. I think he could have given us our first player in the NFL. But in week 4, we got George McIntyre visiting. We're selling him on playing time. Nobody else has scheduled a visit yet, so I think we got this locked up. And I'm hoping he would still have 3 years left of eligibility if he signs with us. I mean, I haven't seen it pop up until now. We actually look alike, except he doesn't have facial hair. And I'm kind of embarrassed by some of these battles that we lost. I thought that we were just going to win out on most of them, but when it came to the defensive side of the ball, we lost out on multiple transfers. If there is one position Tennessee is producing so much talent at, though, it is these gadget receivers. We got 3 different gadget receivers with star development all in the same class. I think we're going to have to start moving some of those guys to other positions. We got a top 25 class at Middle Tennessee, only recruiting out of the state of Tennessee. How is this even possible? George McIntyre is going to be a junior, by the way, so we do need to find a solution for after him still. We're only going to have 2 seasons with him. And Maurice Sumner is going to be the first gadget receiver we take over to running back, where he becomes an 87. There are some really concerning things that have snuck up on us too, by the way. And the first one is if we go over to cornerback, we have 8 corners, our top 8 corners. All of them are seniors and they'll be graduating. I don't even know how that happened. Our receiving core, though, is incredible right now. But guess what? George McIntyre only went up by 1 overall, and it was nothing to do with his accuracy. For whatever reason, he refuses to increase his accuracy and his IQ which would make him play so much better. Apparently, our roster size is 18 over the limit as well. I didn't realize we'd been signing that many guys. But it's going to force me to make decisions on who to cut, and most likely it's going to be the players that want to transfer. For example, Reggie Forrest is upset he's not getting playing time, and we're not going to waste a spot on him. And another thing we don't need to do is have a third and fourth string senior tight end. We can at least get rid of the slower one. It was basically just a really big eye-opener that I no longer have to sign as many players as I possibly can from Tennessee, but more so need to focus on our team needs and positions that we have to replace. Like corner, we have to find players here. And with our school grades getting up to these levels, I think we have a better chance at it. However, the state of Tennessee has just put out the worst class that we have seen so far. There's only one 4-star we can even go after. I'm afraid there's going to be no defensive backs at all. Actually, this is the most 3-star defensive backs we've ever seen. And at quarterback, we could get one guy that's a 3-star. The other one cares about conference prestige, so it doesn't matter how good he is. He would just leave us in the future. And I am not looking forward to this class at all, though I think Casillas Egnew isn't bad. Well, we weren't locked out of anybody major off the jump. We actually found out that this JUCO corner was a gem, but the 1-star strong safety decided that he's too good for us. And I am not happy with the top of our board and the prospects that we're targeting, but I do think some of these players could fill a role even on the special team side. Looks like we're not going to have much competition for the guys that we want. I guess that's some good news. We're also going to open up the season against an FCS school in South Alabama. Just a great chance to pick up a couple of wins, even if some of these were tight, before we head to Tennessee. We don't have the luxury of hosting them again, so I have a feeling that they're going to get their revenge. But if we could win this game, it's the hardest one left on our schedule by far. We might be able to go undefeated. Well, I don't know what it is about Tennessee, but they clearly are not able to compete with Middle Tennesse. We're getting to hop into this as it's 28-7. And unlike last year, I don't think I could choke this lead away if I wanted to. With the way that we just handled them, there's no reason we shouldn't win out the rest of the year. But then again, we saw last year as we were simming through the season, we dropped one of these games. So far, I don't think that's happened. What I want to point out is we have a quarterback that isn't awful. We signed a 3-star in Casillas Egnew. And currently, we are sitting at 7-0. There are a few players that want to leave, but that's been the case every year. It does stink that Sumner's only going to be a good running back for us for 1 year. Rooks also doesn't like our championship contender grade, but it's coach prestige where you have the most players that want out. I feel like with the season that we're having, ours should be rising, but we had a close call at Sam Houston and at Louisiana Tech. It's probably these road games we need to be worried about. Just Kennesaw State and Delaware are horrendous. There shouldn't be any reason to play against them. At the moment, there are 4 different teams tied in second place, and I really do expect this team to just walk their way into the conference championship. It's the best one we've had so far. The way things are lining up, we could also have a playoff spot, but I'm not sure I want that. We still need to win 2 more bowl games so we can unlock this. And I don't think this team's capable of winning it all right now. For some of our most important battles, we're still in first place, though North Texas has gotten us into a recruiting battle. And unfortunately, we just don't have a pitch here that we can use. Once we lock him up, though, I'll be feeling a lot better since defensive back is still our weakest spot in the future. And if we would have lost either Kennesaw State or Delaware, I don't know what my reaction would have been. Those are comfortable wins, but look at how close this battle is against North Texas. I think they're going to overtake us at the last second. But there's not much we can do about that. We aren't moving up in the polls at all. They don't like our schedule. I can't blame them. It's pretty easy. But then again, we do have a win over Tennessee, who with their 3 losses is still ranked 5 spots above us. That's a little bit ridiculous. I guess we're going to play against FIU. I feel like we don't need to. But if I can hop into a couple extra games, I might as well make sure we stay undefeated, because 1 loss would mess everything up. Like expected, though, we are in a pretty comfortable position, trying to get in one more time. I don't know why we're throwing when our best player is a running back on offense, but he is going to dive his way through a lineman. That's Maurice Sumner for you. He's really been the one change that we had that took us to another level. And I guess that was enough of a motivating factor for the 1 4-star on our board, running back Mo Fumagalli, to commit. He could see himself having success here. Taj Crum also committed, but I'm starting to realize that we are over-recruiting once again, and this is before the transfer portal period even hits. I've put too many 2-stars, even as linemen, on our board. Again, we're only losing 12 seniors, so unless a bunch of guys hit the portal, we're going to be stuck in the same spot where we have to cut guys. And at some point, I just have to make the decision that this is not a good enough receiver for us to target. Now, an 89 speed speedster will give a chance, but an 81 speed north-south blocker at running back, even if he's a 3-star, that's a waste of a roster spot. For our final 2 games, one of them is at Jacksonville State. They're 59 overall. And we didn't just beat them, I think we led them in every single statistical category. I guess they were a little bit better on 4th down conversions, but that's because we didn't need them. So that's a great win, but do I trust ourselves to beat Western Kentucky to end the year? I'm lazy, so I decided not to hop into another game, even though we could have. We won 45-16. And of course, that's enough for us to be in the conference championship against Missouri State. They were able to go 8-1 in Conference USA play, but they are not the number 10 team in the country. We're actually getting a little bit of respect right now. Boise State is undefeated just like us, but we're ranked 5 spots higher. And where is Tennessee? They're no longer in the top 25. I'm actually shocked we're getting that much respect. We are going to get rid of these coordinators, though. Let's just pretend that because we were so good, they got hired at other schools. They probably would have left anyway for a better job. But I have a plan there. I didn't want those guys anyway. I didn't handpick them. We're going to choose our coordinators once we get to that period, but we got to play this game first. And I actually think it is more important to me that we get the coordinators I'm hoping we get instead of winning this conference championship for the success of us in the future and the longevity of this rebuild. If you've watched any recent rebuilds of mine, it's been my favorite pathway I've gone down in like the last 4 or 5 rebuilds. And I think we might as well just mess with Missouri State a little bit. Can we get this fake field goal to work? No. It doesn't really matter, though. We win this one 31-0. And once again, we get to take this trophy home to Murfreesboro. I am pretty concerned with who we're going to draw in the college football playoff, though. Look at this. I'm winning the Bear Bryant Award back-to-back years. This is something I have never seen in these rebuilds. We also got our coordinator that I fired winning them. And then Tavian St. Clair winning the Heisman Trophy at Boise State, all for them to not make the playoff most likely. We're facing off against Ole Miss. This pathway does set us up to have to play against Georgia if we were to somehow win. I don't think we will. Boise State is going to get the Pittsburgh pathway, though. They're not going to beat Notre Dame either. And I can't say I'm a huge fan of the draw, but what about some of these guys that we could hire? I mean, look at FIU's head coach here, Willie Simmons. He was a huge pain for us, but now we could ask him to join our staff as a strategist. I would just prefer if there was someone that was a bit more down that pathway, except we couldn't find that here, and I think some of these other coaches are going to get swept up. We don't want to lose out on Willie. Then we have our defensive coordinator position, and this is where I am torn because Mark Cunningham, another head coach from our conference, would be the perfect hire. He is a maxed out strategist. But Purdue wants him as their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, their head coach. I just don't think he's going to accept our offer, but that is the perfect build that we've been looking for. And we might as well take a quick look at some of our season stats. George McIntyre, even though his accuracy isn't good, he's thrown for 34 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. Then at running back, Maurice Sumner transitioned so well to this position, almost 1,300 rushing yards. Champ Hampton behind him took his backup spot in stride. He put up great numbers still, about the same amount of touchdowns as he had last year. Our receiving numbers are still very split between our top 3 players. But I think once again, they're all going to return. I just hope that we don't get embarrassed against Ole Miss. I mean, with the way that we handled Tennessee, I feel like we could have a slight chance. But no, that's not the case. What we are hopping into is a 28-3 game with 6 minutes left. How did we get that catch? We didn't even deserve to bring that one in. 2nd and 2. We pitch it to the outside, but we can't get free. And really, unless we can just pull out a 70-yard touchdown or something in the next couple of plays, not happening here, then there's just no way that we come back against the Rebels. Now, they're running man-to-man coverage, so Cantrell could get a huge gain here, but there's still 3 guys to tackle. And we haven't recruited any big jump ball receivers to throw up a 50-50 ball to, so we're just relying on someone like Rooks to go up and grab that. Problem is, we couldn't recover an onside kick, which means now we need to get a stop. And we needed to get a stop fast. 3rd and 18. There's no way we're giving this up. And we did. The worst part is EA's deciding to challenge this and say the refs are looking at this, but really it's just rubbing it in. This was an NFL catch. It wasn't ever a question. I actually hate the challenges system on this game so much. Stop showing me it. They will literally sit there and review something that's so obvious, but then if there's actually something that happens that's up for question, no challenge at all. I like that you have to make that decision, whatever. Anyway, Ole Miss beats us. And I'm far more concerned about if our coordinators accepted our job offers anyway. No one wanted Willie Simmons, so we knew that was happening. But did Purdue offer our defensive coordinator. They sure did. Mark Cunningham is not coming to Murfreesboro, so now we have to hire from either like a level 14 or we have to beat out Oregon, who wants Adam Moss as their head coach. Turns out he has also rejected our offer, so these are the new coaches we get to choose from, and it's going to be the level 27. I don't care what he's good at. He's getting fired next year, and he's just going to drag down our coach prestige like all the other coach options would have as well. It means more players were going to transfer, but we didn't have a choice. I was making fun of Pittsburgh, by the way, for being an easy pathway, and they just won it all. Let's take a look at Willie Simmons, though. How far down in strategist has he gone? Not far at all. We need him to get tier 3 lower the bar to even be impactful. So I'll probably be getting rid of him as well next year. I don't like that Westerman wants to transfer. That is a star dev edge that I tried to give playing time to. But at least the guys that cared about coach prestige don't also want to leave. This is just such a huge loss. I was giving him playing time. This kid cares about playing style. He's also gone. And JoJo Busby's not even returning. Buddy, you were never getting playing time at our school. Why are you upset? You were supposed to be a backup. Maybe we get lucky. Is the one player that's going to return Maurice Sumner? It is. You know what? Okay, I'll take that. That's actually incredible. We knew that we were losing so many corners to graduation. At least one of them is going to be drafted, and that'll help our pro potential just barely, but this is where we need to double down and find other corners in the portal that are also going to be drafted. The issue is we're dealing with one state, so the odds of that happening are extremely, extremely slim, and we're not getting lucky. Tyrone Pettis wants to come here, and so does Marshall Couch. Isn't that ironic? These guys that didn't originally want to play for our school now want to. Chauncey Gooden has entered the portal for a third time as well. We don't have any in to get him. He cares about championship contender, but he's already at his top 8. And that's the same thing that happened with John Westerman. We have an A+ playing time for him. He would start for us this next year, but no, he has decided to leave us. We're just going to have to find talent elsewhere. I'm noticing a trend, though, with almost every player in the portal that we can go after, and they are all on offense besides this one linebacker. That is a huge issue, because right now I'm looking at our defense for next season, and we did keep around Matt Dykes. I guess that is 1+. We also have Andy Church, Elijah Griffin. Okay, so we're solid on the defensive line, better than I thought we were going to be. But defensive back is still going to be a struggle for us. Locke Kennedy will turn into a senior, and we got lucky with Marshall Couch. He already gave us the game plan on how to sign him, so I know that we're going to at least be able to bring him in. But we're sure not getting Tyrone Pettis. I tried to hard sell on him while stacking complimentary visits. The better quarterback is going to Tennessee. And how much better is he really? Well, we're just going to like the pain of looking at his stats. 96 throw power? They're actually just getting under my skin now. They just take away any battle I want to win. It's theirs. But at the end of the day, for us to still sign the 43rd best class in the country when there weren't that many good prospects from Tennessee, it's something that we can work with. It could have been worse for our 3 corners. It looks like all of them outside of Crum are just going to have normal development. And even Casillas Egnew and Marshall Couch aren't anything too impressive. At least I know our running back room is going to be very good. George Fowler, our 6th best receiver, is never going to see the field there, so we're moving him to running back. Now, as George McIntyre heads into his senior year, his dev trait did get upgraded to star. So I'm hoping that means he actually developed in the accuracy department. Looks like he's going to have some very good offensive weapons on that side of things. Andy Church is going to finish as a 90 overall, and he got a +7. This is actually incredible. He's going to be an 88. His accuracy, it still could be a little bit higher, but he focused more on his IQ. And unfortunately, I just have to imagine some of these receivers are going to transfer at the end of the year because they're not happy with their playing time with how high of an overall that they are. We are so deep at receiver while every other position group is not that great. We're going to have to make another 9 roster cuts. It's going to be harder this year, or at least I thought it was going to be. I just realized we're keeping around a lot of dead weight. Like a normal dev 80 speed running back, no reason for him to be on this roster. These juniors with 82 speed, we don't need you. And I don't know why I keep on falling down into the path of over recruiting, but it is going to happen again because Tennessee has 3 5-stars, one of them being a quarterback that we could actually land. But after you look past the top, it does get a lot worse. Like at defensive back, I'm not too excited to recruit any of these players. Gerald Johnson won't even consider us, but we have some targets our eyes are set on, and if we landed Tyrell Steed, I would feel so good about our future. In fact, it has encouraged me to not just have Tennessee on our schedule, but also NC State, with the hope that this is when those guys visit. I'm already prepared to be so heartbroken when these battles don't go the way that we think they will. Tennessee is, of course, going after Tyrell Steed. They're going to take away every good prospect that we find, though they're not putting many hours into DeMarcus, which is nice. And if we were to lose a game like this one, it would really mess everything up. As you can see, our championship contender is already sitting at a B. We're not being that respected. It actually fell off of a win. And the following week, George McIntyre would go off. But it wasn't against anybody impressive. We won 80-3. Clearly, this team is ready to take on Tennessee. But we weren't able to get anybody in for a visit during this game. I wish that they would have reached their top 5 just a little bit sooner. If we compare our roster to Tennessee's this year, it's actually incredibly even, though they have 2 very good receivers, and they also have Deuce Knight as a senior now. How on earth are they in competition for this quarterback when they already have a lot of other great guys? I don't understand. He says he cares about playing time, but that is his #1 option. I just hope that we beat them here, and then we can slowly start to make some progress on winning them over. I mean, the past 2 seasons have gone incredibly, but are we going to be able to keep that up? Well, I knew that this was probably inevitable. We're about to be on a 4th and 4. And we're trailing by 14, but it's not over yet. We're going to get it within 7. And I still think we're in a pretty good spot. It just doesn't help that we don't have great defensive backs out there. No way they just went deep on us like that. Kennedy makes a play on the ball. He's like the only good defensive back we have out there. In fact, I moved him from safety to corner. And I think Deuce Knight gave him one look and just expected that he was going to get cooked. But that is not what happened there. We missed our read. Here's the question. Do we still throw this up? Could have been a disaster there, but we're fine. We just need to wait for the inside cut. And we'll see if Tennessee can figure out how to stop us through the air. We have a corner route that is just open, so not quite sure what they're going with defensively. We also can run the ball. Maurice Sumner upgraded his shifty, which means he is going to be fun to use. And I am a little confused at how this is the year where we're struggling against Tennessee, but now it's tied. Problem is, though, they wasted no time getting into field goal range, and they're going to keep it. We've held them to a 4th and 2. So at the most, they're going to have a 3-point lead, but I think he might miss it. Okay, 2 minutes to prove that we are the best team in Tennessee. Comeback route will get us 15. And I really don't know what they thought was going to happen there. You can't blitz us. We're going to be able to deal with that just fine. We can also run. And if they give us the right look, it won't hurt us to pick up stuff on the ground too. Most of our speed on this team is actually at running back because our best 2 guys both have 96. And we're about to try a new play. Is this a good idea? Absolutely not. But here we go. DIY reverse. The reverse to Sumner gets us the first down. I had no idea if that was going to work. I just saw it in the playbook and it looks neat. Slant will be open. Augustine could be gone here, but if we score, it's going to be a little bit too soon. I'm actually going to wait. The one thing we wanted to do is take about 40 seconds off of the clock, but we had an injury timeout, so that literally just helps out Tennessee. However, they are not as smart as we are, so they're just going to let us run down the clock anyway. Where it is now 3rd and goal. Okay, I'm actually starting to panic a little bit. We might have messed this up. We'll see if we're open or if we're just going to have to run on the ground. Okay, tight end is there. Fight. He's short. This is actually really bad. We're going to lose to Tennessee if this run doesn't work. I've decided we're going to run it instead of throw. And we got through him. Maurice Sumner saves the day. He just threw his body weight into him, and the linebacker couldn't handle that. Of course he couldn't. He took it like a good boy, but we didn't get either of our soft sell guesses correct on Tyrell Steed. I think we've already lost this battle. We also had the same thing happen on this 4-star running back, but it didn't cost us that much. And it's frustrating our playing style is not good enough for Zach Barnes, but I think Georgia would have ran away with this one anyway, so we're just going to get the pain out of the way by taking him off of our board. Now we have to somehow climb into the top 3 before we get to our Week 6 game against NC State. But I actually don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get locked out before what could be the most important visit in school history. Clemson is also gaining on the 5-star right tackle. We got a hard sell. And you might be wondering, I've already given up on the other 2 quarterbacks that we recruited last season, like Marshall Couch. I wanted him just a year ago. Well, he's got impact development. His accuracy is uncapped, but I don't think he'll be as good. But if we don't even get an opportunity to try and land the 5-star quarterback, it should still be okay. We've given up 27 now, 3 weeks in a row. What did I tell you was going to happen, though? We have been locked out. I think he will still come on this visit and we can jump back in, but it's not going to matter. We're not winning. And I really thought that we stood a chance for some of those 5 stars. I don't know what I was thinking. We've had our success, but we are still nowhere near the level of some of those other schools. And with 4 minutes left, you see that we're up by 2. We have the ball, but we still have to close out the game. I'm actually surprised at how bad both offenses have been in this showing. It's not good to have a visit week when we don't score many points. So I don't just want to run out the clock. I would also like to get more on the board, which is a little more risky. This is where I'm confused at what NC State is doing, though. I mean, there's no way that they're not just giving up a touchdown to Rooks. 42 did a decent job at trying to track back, but they had no one lined up on him. And now for this 2-point conversion, I think they're just going to send 8 at us, and we're going to throw our slant, which we got. My goal is still not just win this game. It is run up the score as much as we can. I want credit for a blowout, but it looks like they're going to be able to respond, especially as they break that tackle. This game is not over, though we didn't originally pick up the onside kick, and that was almost a disaster. Now, we're basically 1 first down away from this game being over. Sumner is going to get a huge play due to his shifty ability. But again, we're going for that double-digit win. That's what it takes to get credit for a blowout in this game. And we're going to score a little quicker than I was thinking. Bad news, NC State returned the kickoff, so we're actually getting it back kind of soon. And we might literally do the same thing again. But this game is not over till the clock hits 0. I do think we have found a run play that could be extremely effective later on in the year. What is he doing? There we go, 31-21. Awful first 3 quarters offensively for both teams. But it opened up at the end, and the commitment is never, ever going to be from a 5-star. Actually, I take that back. Not only did we get a defensive tackle a couple years ago, Steve Lipscomb said, hey, you know what? I'd actually like to come to the Borough. But unfortunately, even after all of our effort, we moved up to 2nd place, and Tyrell Steed still chose Tennessee. I just can't deal with it. You know what? We might as well play against Western Kentucky as well. They're 2-0 in conference play. I don't want them to ruin our year. I think we're going to beat every team left on our schedule anyway. I'm just ready to get to the end of the season. After we didn't win out on the 5-star, what else is there to look forward to? We've already made it to the playoffs. We've already won our conference multiple times. So now we're just trying to acquire good enough talent to where we could actually win a national championship at Middle Tennesse. I don't think Western Kentucky's going to do anything to win this game in the final couple minutes either, but I am going to play it safe. We're going to take our 3, go up by 3 possessions. And I really hope that we just finish the season undefeated and get a decent playoff seed. Maybe we get to host a playoff game. This really is the year for it. We actually have a decent number of players coming on a visit this week too. But a 53-41 win over Liberty didn't impress any of them. Our defense just keeps getting worse. I'm glad our offense can score a lot this year. Dean Brown's going to commit to Clemson after 1 more week. I mean, we did get a couple good signings, but Texas A&M, they stole away Lorenzo Stinsler. And then Tennessee has come in on one of these 4-stars, the Gadget, which I prefer, and they're going to win this battle too, even though we have him on a visit. In fact, they even want to get Kai Rashed from us, a 3-star quarterback. You already took the 1 quarterback we could go after. In fact, I already didn't like Tennessee as a Kentucky fan, but this video is really rubbing me the wrong way. And yet I still have to admit, when I was invited down by EA to go to Neyland Stadium last year, I had a really good time. It was a cool environment. I hate that I have to admit that. During our 6-point win over FIU, we didn't get the 4-star receiver to commit. We also did not get Kai to commit. So I'd seen enough. I just wanted to get straight to the end of the season, but we got a commitment. I'm really confused how we ended up winning both of these battles. And I'm also confused at how our championship contender is still sitting at a B. We went 12-0. It looks like we're going to have to take on our rivals again. But over the last few weeks, what could have happened for us to even win this battle, I'm going to assume Tennessee's play style went down. I feel like we have kind of figured out where our ceiling is, though, at Middle Tennesse. The highest we can get ranked, even after going undefeated and beating NC State and Tennessee. Neither of them a good year, so it's not quality wins, I guess. But either way, this is about the highest that we're going to be ranked. There's still going to be 2 lost teams ahead of us. I'm surprised Penn State is below some of these 3 lost teams. And if for whatever reason we were to lose to Western Kentucky, I think we'd be out of the playoffs still. Now that's not going to happen, but what is going to happen is we're getting rid of both of these coordinators. Willie Simmons, you weren't a good enough strategist for us. And it's time to pick up another conference championship very easily. The thing is, whenever I do these smaller school rebuilds, every other team in the conference gets so much worse so fast that most of our conference games just aren't entertaining. But I'll tell you right now, that type of jinx is not even a little bit funny. We are actually losing to Western Kentucky in this game. With George Fowler being our running back, my first thought is a big reason for that is because we're missing our starter, but both of our running backs are really good. We're fighting our way in. And Austin Cantrell's had a great career for us. On 3rd and 8, Western Kentucky doesn't have anything, so they take a shot. It can't be Kennedy giving that up. No, he's going to snag the pick. But for the rest of the game, Maurice Sumner's out. He dislocated his shoulder. So it is all on Fowler to finish it out. With 3 minutes left, Western Kentucky is already calling their timeouts. And they basically have 1 more chance to get a stop. I have a feeling, though, that we could just effortlessly throw the football against them and pick it up pretty easily, which is exactly what we have done. And after that, they would never see the football again. This is just going to become a repeat year after year. And finally, all of this is updated to where there's only a few players that aren't happy at Middle Tennesse. For the 3rd year in a row, we have won the Bear Bryant Coach Award. I'm wondering if there's something about being at Middle Tennesse that makes you win these awards? I mean, Willie Simmons also getting one. I'm just confused because I typically never win it in any of these rebuilds. Toledo had a quarterback winning the Heisman Trophy. We get Texas Tech in the first round. This is winnable. They're not going to have like a 95 overall team, but if we get past one Texas team, we'd have to play another. So I don't love that. What about our coordinator options? Are we going to have some strategist out there? I mean, we got a level 45 already, but also not too many. So if Ryan Silverfield doesn't choose us, then we could be in trouble. The problem is coaches like that are getting head coach offers. Same for Mark Cunningham. He took the Purdue job and they have fired him within a year. So we have our second chance at getting him to sign with us. I don't think we're going to get either of those guys, though. George McIntyre going out with a really good year. He could still perform well in the playoffs as well. Maurice Sumner, 22 rushing touchdowns, about the same amount of yards as he had the year before. And what I'm going to be most curious about is if both Josh Rooks and Austin Cantrell return to school for their senior years. Tyler Augustine has to graduate, but those guys don't. For Texas Tech, they average 39 points per game. We score a little bit more than them, and I still like our odds even if we're going on the road. By the time we get to the fourth quarter, I think we can keep this within 7. I just don't understand how we're not getting to host a playoff game. We went undefeated during the regular season 2 years in a row, and we at least tried to put together a tougher schedule. We're up by 5 in the fourth, but that does not guarantee a win. 3rd and 1, running it straight up the middle, and I think Sumner might be gone. He's off to the races. His speed is what he excels the most at. But to win this game, we still need some defensive stops. We're actually dealing with a decent bit of wear and tear, and you can't give up a play like this to Texas Tech. There's still plenty of time for them to come back, which is why I'm a little concerned. But they're not going to run it here. They're through the air, and they got it. It's fine, though. We were running the football just fine the last time we had the ball. We're going to spin out that defender there. McIntyre is solid on the ground. And I can't believe that we ended up getting back the quarterback that I wanted all along after he got better. 2nd and 6. We are going to throw it just because I felt like that could work. But Texas Tech has got us on 3rd down. I really don't want to punt it back to them, and that's a laser. Sometimes you just got to hold down for a long time on those bullet passes, and it'll all work out well. We are now basically a 1st down away from winning this game. Unfortunately, if we pick it up on this play, then we're going to need one more, but we're getting a huge run, and I could just tell that we were ready to gash them there. If they do happen to hold us to a field goal, we'll still be up by 8. But I don't even want to give Texas Tech the chance with about 30 seconds left. I want to end it now. How to do that is getting a 1st down on this 3rd and 4 and cutting it back to the middle. The lane was there, but this is where we might be making our mistake. Instead of just kicking a field goal, I'm aggressive. I want to end it. I, again, don't want to give them any hope. And I'm just glad that that happened to work out for us. If you can't tell, I do not trust the defensive backs on our roster for good reason. That's why I don't want our defense back out there on the field. And Silverfield rejected our offer, but we got Mark Cunningham this time. Of this group of guys, there aren't any other strategists available, so we might just have to go with Rob Azell. His coach prestige is decent. Scheme guru would still be nice, but it is not exactly what I was hoping for. Looking at this bracket, we are on the worst side of the two, but I just can't imagine us getting past the Longhorns in the first place because I know they're going to be a high overall. They're a 96. We're playing down in Miami at the Orange Bowl. Steve Sarkisian, still their head coach, and just like you would expect, we're not doing great against Texas. But what is far more concerning to me is the fact our offense has only put up 6 points. I knew that on the defensive side of things we weren't going to be good, but I thought at least offensively we could compete with the Longhorns. We still have to try and pull off the comeback. And here's the thing, if we can somehow overcome a 25-point deficit in the fourth quarter, it'd be the greatest comeback of all time. That is not a great start right there. 3rd and 28. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. We're going to have to kick, but that's okay. We're down by 4 possessions. We knew we'd have to do this anyway. By kicking it deep, Texas could decide to take a decent amount of time off of the clock before we stop them. But we could also get the football back sooner than we would have anyway, and they threw it to us. They threw it to us. Mondo all the way. Okay, now you have to have some faith. Well, I messed up. I called a timeout. That's such a huge waste, but I couldn't figure out what play call I wanted. On the 2-point conversion, they're going to lock down anyway, so we're going to need 2 more touchdowns and 2-point conversions. And that just made pulling off this comeback even more challenging. Can we make this tackle in time? No, we can't. However, I have some really bad news. It has taken me so long to even get us in a decent spot. So we're still trailing by 16 with about 2 minutes left, and we're already down a timeout too. I have to give Texas credit. They've done a very good job when it comes to just dropping guys back. And what the... I can't I can't believe it. That is going to do it. Texas, you can have the win. The Orange Bowl goes to them. I really thought this would be more competitive. But you know what? In just 5 seasons, we've already achieved so much. We won a playoff game with Middle Tennesse. We got to keep our heads high. If we can just win one more bowl game, I have so many points to unload into strategists. I mean, we've won Coach of the Year 3 times. Florida State won it all. And just like that, there's a threat of one of our best receivers leaving due to playing time. We also aren't convincing Maurice Sumner to return this time. He is gone for good. Randall Burchard is also gone. Route artist, how fast was he? 88 speed, that's fine. We also got Mo to stick around. That was the 1 4-star from our last class, but our graduating class had a lot of talent in it as well. I thought George McIntyre was going to get drafted, but our quarterback didn't. We did see Tyler Augustine go in the 7th round, and our school grades are continuing to get a little bit better. Coach prestige up to a B+. I think we're kind of stuck at a 3-star team prestige, though. We aren't moving up any farther, and some of the best receivers from our state don't want to come to our school, which I find weird. One of them was leaving us. We could still add to our offensive line, though. But to be honest, it's really not a huge need on this team. Of course, these guys would still be nice to land. Our pipelines aren't going to be as good as some of these schools. So I was hoping we had time to try and figure out the hard sell, but look at how fast Georgia took that lead. I'm still going to go through the motions of acting like I care by putting in complimentary visits, seeing if we can get them to commit. But I think we all know how it'll most likely unfold. The signings we're going to make are guys like 2-star J.R. Hunter, who is arguably a lot more useful anyway. Now, I do believe we have a chance at getting one of those 4 stars, and we did end up getting Barron. And I also took a decent number of players off of our board as well, but we didn't win everybody that was left. We still lost a couple of them, and that's fine. We got Star Dev on a couple transfer offensive linemen. For our big signings in this class, Steve Lipscomb has elite development, so our offensive line is going to be just fine. Sean Flynn is also the best linebacker that we found so far. Elite Dev on Lacombo too. It might not be rated as the greatest class we've ever pulled in. It's not top 25. Instead, it's number 27, but I am far more a fan of this one than any other class. It's helped us fill some of our needs, and at some point, you've probably expected that we're moving one of our guys over to running back, one of our better receivers, and Austin Cantrell is that player. It stinks, but I think he's going to turn into a 99 overall, and we didn't have anyone else that we could lean on. But there's also some other gadget senior in here, 93 speed on Zach. I think he becomes an 85. That's solid too. And there's actually one more receiver that we need to move to a different position. Cortez Pippen right now has star development, and when I look around, it says he can become an 85 pure runner quarterback. I could also make him running back, but this is more enticing to me because depending on how the skill caps work out, how he develops, he could be a better starter for us than Marshall Couch. We also need one more body at tight end as a good backup, so I guess all of our receivers are just getting moved around. But that's the benefit of having as many as we do, and I think Sean Flynn, instead of being a linebacker, is actually going to be a safety for us because we need it more. He's one of the few that were fast enough to pull off a move like that. We saw Devin McCollum step up as well as we lost some of our other receivers. Looks like Josh Rooks could have had his skill caps maxed out. Maybe we should have made him a running back, and Cortez Pippen is an 88 overall QB, while Marshall Couch is an 80. We're going to have to compare these 2 player cards. I have a feeling that Marshall Couch is going to be more accurate. Just looking at those stats, 88 throw power, his IQ is decent, but accuracy is what really matters. And in comparison to Cortez Pippen, who has 38 throw under pressure, he does have better stats, but they're actually not that much better than I was thinking. His awareness is higher. He is also faster. So I'm not sure who we're going to start. I mean, either quarterback is going to have so many good receivers to throw the ball to. There is no excuses if they're not good. And don't forget, we also have 3 really solid tight ends as well. The offensive line is good. Our defensive back room is so much better than it was the year before, which is crazy because it doesn't look like it's that great. But I like a lot of the things that I'm seeing, and there's a lot of pressure on me to make the right decision when it comes to who we start at QB, because we're projected to be in the top 25 at the start of the year. Our running back, Austin Cantrell, is also in the race for the Heisman. I think we find a running playbook where he can run the football, our quarterback can run, and we just find out if Cortez Pippen is any good at quarterback because I've decided he is going to be our starter. I actually think we're just going to start with the FIU power spread, see how that goes, because I think it does decent in sim for getting QB runs, and we're not going to be waiting around long to see how effective it is. We're taking it to Tennessee in week 2. If you look at our schedule, there's no purpose in putting putting hard teams on here. We learned that last year. But we still have to face Tennessee, and is that a 4-star corner from our state? Those are so rare, and his brand exposure deal breaker stinks, but we're going to try and get him anyway. There's also a couple 3-star corners. In fact, I'm counting 3 of them, and there's a 3-star strong safety. This is the best look we've had for defensive backs in a long time. And the one quarterback that we scouted is a gem. His stats aren't great, but Dalton Lemons could be good in the future. When I look at our team needs and just sort by class, junior is our smallest one, but I like how many sophomores and freshmen we have. We are going to lose 21 seniors, so we do need to replace quite a few guys. But that's still doable. Moment of truth, though. Are we able to have any success with the receiver at QB? I mean, if we lost to an FCS school, then you're just questioning everything, but it almost went too well. We put up 59 points. Cortez Pippen threw for 78% completion percentage. He still had 1 interception. He didn't run the ball that much. And to me, that's actually the most concerning part, is he didn't run the ball that much. So instead, we're going to switch up our playbook again for this game. I don't know what it is about Iowa's, but recently I've been running with it and it's actually been effective. And I really don't know how to feel right now, because at the moment we're down by 17, but we're playing on the road. So it's hard to have a takeaway from this game until we finish it out. Cortez Pippen could still be a very good quarterback, maybe not as solid of a runner as I was thinking, just because he's got like 85 speed. In this game, he has 13 rushes for 3 yards, so he hasn't been very effective at running the football, but I don't see an issue with him throwing it. In fact, it's only his throw under pressure stat that is really, really bad. So if you get it out quick, then it's not that much of an issue. Not getting that 2-point conversion, though, really stinks. On 3rd down, Tennessee is not picking this up. So we've got it back, but I also wouldn't feel confident throwing it deep if we were to beat the press or anything. On paper, it seemed like this could be a good idea to use him at QB, but now that we're actually experiencing it, I don't know. We'll see if he can deliver on 4th and 5, but I just don't expect him to make a really good throw here. He did. We're off the tackle as well, spinning out with McCollum. And I'm so conflicted. I have to make a decision for the rest of the season. If Cortez Pippen is going to be our quarterback, if we win, how am I supposed to bench him? His success just doesn't seem like it would be that sustainable here. And he also is just really tiny back there for our quarterback. It's 3rd and 8. Okay, this is where he's tested. Are we able to get McCollum on a comeback route? If we're not, then this play's probably not going to go the way that we want. The only thing I thought about doing was running with him. We got it. But again, does he really help us win a championship? I don't know. Like right here, being able to audible to a run is awesome because it's very clear the middle of the field looked open, but it wasn't. Now it is 3rd and goal. We're going to need to step up, make a throw. That one doesn't do much. And this is it. This is the game right here. He has to somehow make a 10-yard throw for us to take down Tennessee. And we're going to be short. We're going to be short. Okay. I've made my decision. It might not even be his fault. He might be able to do half decent, but there is no way that we're risking losing a second game with him. I'd rather put that pressure on Marshall Couch. In the short term, that result is really bad, but what we're going to do is we're going to still try and get our visits out. And all I can think of is if we lose another game over the next few weeks, everything is going to be awful. Every player is going to want to transfer. As you can see, we are actually hanging on to first place in a couple of these battles, but there's also other ones where it's very clear that in the long run, since we don't have a good hard sell, we're not going to win. So by the time we make it to 2 games against Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky, where we have a lot of players on a visit that are on our board, I'm not feeling great because these teams aren't any good. So even beating them isn't going to give us a huge bonus. And in the back of my mind, I am thinking of worst case scenario, we pick up a loss, but I don't think we did. However, I'm monitoring our offense a lot because Marshall Couch kept us in a close game against Louisiana Tech, and it was no better against 1-5 Western Kentucky either. As you can see, we are losing out on most of these 4 stars. Tennessee is always going to be a pain to us. And a couple of these battles are close, but since we weren't able to secure them, we know that in the long run, we're just not going to win. We've also been locked out of Dalton Lemons due to our playing style. And I think if we're going to hop in against a conference opponent, UTEP is one of those we should. They're 4-2, and if this game happens to be close, then we can get a good feel for our other QB. But all it's done is solidify my thoughts on Couch. Even though we have learned he's a lefty, he is clearly the answer or not. Yes, our offense has scored 42 points, but you've seen 1 inaccurate pass this season, and who did it come from? Who also felt a lot faster. I don't know. We'll see how the year plays out. But I really don't know if Marshall Couch is the right answer. Someone out there is probably thinking as well, why don't you just run the triple option? And my response to that would be no. I'm not taking an 85 speed former receiver and making him have to run the triple option. I don't care if we have a 99 overall running back. We have all of these receivers that we are not going to waste. And at this point in the year, we'll probably play against FIU, but until then, just simulate. The Panthers actually look decent, so I am a little concerned. But these other teams aren't an issue. We have signed our final 4-star of this class, Frederick Smith. He's more than just a receiver. He's an athlete, so we could use him at another position if we want, but he liked our passing attack. Now, although I think this class has been a little bit more disappointing, it's still going to turn out to be a really good one. Probably the deepest class of 3-stars that we have ever been able to put together, and there's just not that much competition for most of them. So for recruiting out of only Tennessee, it is setting up our future extremely well. But of course, to keep those guys around, you have to maintain what you sold them on. I can see that Lucumbo does not like our playing style right now. He is elite development. That's a little bit scary. Also, why is Britt complaining about playing time? He's a 58 overall. Those are the types of things we're going to run into, but our defense might be starting to figure things out. They just held Jacksonville State to 3. And FIU is currently 9-1, so this is 100% the game to play. It's hard for me to remember the last time that we lost a conference game, though. And I don't know if anybody on this team can either, which is why I could see us taking it for granted. No way we completed that. Size mismatch was not on our side there. We're currently in a battle against FIU. We have only scored 13. And one of the reasons for that is Cantrell is no longer a receiver for us. He isn't always running the ball well for us. We ended up punting it back, giving up a touchdown to FIU, and finding ourselves down by a point. Now, there's still 2 minutes left. I am not worried at all because this is something that we should be able to figure out, but I almost threw an interception there. So much time to just hook up with Arnett, and that is most likely going to do it, but this team just doesn't have the same feel that some of our teams from the past have. I just think last year's was so much better, and for good reason. We had a running back with almost platinum shifty. It's now 3rd and 2, by the way. We're barely getting it. I have a bad feeling about how the playoffs are going to look, but at least we should be headed in there 11-1 or 12-1. We're going to run down to the 5 and then hit this field goal for a close win. Most likely, we have to play FIU in the conference championship. And I find it very interesting. Even with our loss to Tennessee, we're being ranked the exact same way we've been the past couple years when we were undefeated. To no surprise, we won our final 2 games, but what caught me off guard was New Mexico State's number 16 in the country. And looking back on our schedule, we didn't play them this season, so they're undefeated. They're 12-0. Hang on, could we actually start to be getting some real competition again? It says they're just a 64 overall, but I don't know. They haven't lost a game like we have, and oh no, what happened to our offensive coordinator? He must have gotten hired or something elsewhere. Mark Cunningham, by the way, is not as good of a strategist as I was thinking. He's only good for the offensive side of things, not the defensive side, which is not good because he's a defensive coordinator. And what that means, which is something EA needs to fix, is none of his strategist stuff is going to apply to our guys. So I'm actually going to fire him too and see if we can hire him as an offensive coordinator. He is genuinely pointless if he is a defensive coordinator, which is just frustrating. I thought we had found the guy that we were hoping for. But you know what? If we win this game, then we win a playoff game. We'll unlock strategist for ourselves anyway. And this one is actually going to come down to our defense. We're only up by 7. They have a minute to get down the field with no timeouts, which definitely helps us, especially if they're taking these checkdowns. Their quarterback, Dwayne Leon, has also thrown 2 interceptions in this game, and it's just not helping. The clock's going to continue to run, which is why we're going to keep on backing our guys up. Let him take those shorter throws if he can even get the ball out in the first place. 4th and 4, game on the line. And we gave that up? You know what I think of this team? I think this team is ready to lose by about 20 points in their first playoff game. But we're just building towards a better future every year. Our roster has gotten better. Though I am a little worried on what our receiving core is going to look like with as many players as we've lost. That's a sack. Final play of the game. New Mexico State does get it off, and it might be a 50-50 ball here that I have to play, or not. He's just going to run. That is the competition we've had. That's the best competition Conference USA has to offer. We already know the playoffs aren't going to be like that, but we get to host Texas A&M. And taking a look at this bracket, even if we were to get past the Aggies, then we have to play Penn State. It's not great, and our defensive coordinator options are also not great. DJ Smith is an elite recruiter, though, so I actually want to see if we could get him. While on the offensive side, there were a lot more options, but no strategists, so we're literally just going to give up on trying to get them. It's just not meant to be. Looking at Marshall Couch's season, I mean, 3,000 passing yards. We've had so many quarterbacks do better than that. Austin Cantrell rushed for a lot of yards, though. And I don't know if we've even had a 1,000-yard receiver yet. Isn't that crazy? Typically, you get those really early on in Dynasty. We have more points per game than Texas A&M, though. Again, we got the home field advantage. And to my surprise, they're just an 80 overall team. This could actually go in our favor. Well, at the moment, we have a 3-point lead with about 6 minutes left. But we still have to be able to close this game out. This is big for 2nd and 16. And I'm not sure I trust us to run this on 3rd down. I actually think we're better off throwing the ball with a quick out route to a tight end. And we just got that one out in time. I'll tell you what, throw under pressures like that, our other quarterback would not have been able to make that throw. Cantrell is going to be at the 30. And there is something that's kind of satisfying about just rolling out to the left side, using a lefty, trying to make plays. Couch, once again, getting more done than what I'd ever expect out of him. And from there, we would just work on closing out the game. Texas A&M couldn't score again. We'd get another field goal. Then they failed to score again. So we've done it. We've unlocked strategist. This has been my goal to get. I don't know if there's many videos where I actually end up successfully getting this. I know I was filming a rebuild recently, and I think like the second I got it, we ended up winning it all, and it just became pointless. But we have been waiting for this moment. In fact, at almost every position, all of these guys are going to have lower deal breaker thresholds. I'm not sure if we should use our last coach points on QB or halfback, though. I'll have to look. It all depends on guys that want to transfer, and it seems like there's no halfbacks here. Might as well make it QB. After beating Texas A&M, though, our reward for that is facing off against the best team in the country, and neither coordinator accepted our offer. I think I've just come to the realization that we're not going to find any strategist. We'd have to get super lucky for it. We're going to get Nick Petrino. He's a tactician. It'll help us perform better on the field, and our defensive coordinator, I don't even know what Josh Aldridge could do. He's a motivator. Perfect. That's all we're hiring. We're not hiring a level 15. I really hope the EA puts a little more effort into the coaching carousel stuff for this next game, not just for hiring the coordinators, but for having head coach jobs, what offers come in, all of that, because the game needs it. In fact, that might be the thing that Dynasty needs the most. I know when I went down there, they were like, yeah, we did a little bit of tuning to the coaching carousel stuff, but the system itself that is in the game is no better than 25 because you can get a few offers from a few schools. You need to be able to get offers from every college out there. I want it to work the way it did in NCAA Football 14, so it runs through like Alabama chooses who they want to hire. If you're not chosen, it goes to the next school. Then it goes to maybe Kentucky. Then it goes to Southern Miss. And eventually, you get your opportunity. Just import what NCAA Football 14 had, and I think a lot of us would be happy. You know what I'm not happy about? This performance. Penn State has basically shut out our offense. We're going to pick up this 3rd and 10, but it is going to take us playing almost perfect to come back against the Nittany Lions, and that's a good throw. However, Penn State spent a ton of time driving down the field and scoring, so you know what? We might be getting a huge play right here, but we're still down by 17 points. I mean, it's going to take a miracle. Why couldn't we do this whenever I wasn't playing? I don't know what they do when I sim, but it is not have success like this. And we might be getting a little bit too aggressive here, but we got the stop. Okay, there's 2 minutes left. We're down by 10. We had to use one of our timeouts. I wish that we would have saved it now, but it is what it is. Can we get a return going? Hang on. Hang on. If we get a return out of this, we don't. Everything I was about to say out the window, but that last play where we just rolled out and threw the corner route worked extremely well. I don't think it's going to work here. We can still get out of bounds. And I'm not paying much attention. It was the 2-minute timeout anyway. We didn't need to get out of bounds. That can't be a flag. This happens every time I'm responsible. You wonder why I don't throw the football away ever? That is why I don't throw the football away ever. Are we going to have that? No, they're playing it. They're playing it. No, they're not. What is wrong with Penn State? What is wrong with this team? Why are we just now starting to have any bit of offensive success? I felt like this is a good chance for a 50-50. I'm just getting a little impatient because there's a minute and a half left and we still have a long way to go. It's now 3rd and 3. I also have to keep in mind we need to score as soon as possible because we literally only have 2 timeouts left. I really don't think we're going to have an opportunity to come back in this game. I mean, we need to catch this right here. Okay, this might seem weird, but we're kicking our field goal now. I want there to be a second left on the clock to get a Hail Mary, assuming we didn't get this onside kick. And I think we all know exactly what they're doing. They're running the football. It's no secret. A run to the outside, though, is a really big issue. And what are they doing? You can't take a QB knee with 49 seconds left. This is just disrespectful. You know what, though? It's actually best case scenario. If they miss this kick, we're going to be around midfield, and they're going to hit it. That was another part of my strategy. Maybe we bait them into missing a long field goal. It clearly did not help us at all, and we're going for it already. Go for the aggressive catch and not get it. You know how I know it's time for me to go to bed, by the way? We're down by 10 points. We can't win this game. Even if for whatever reason Arnett is the greatest player ever. That field goal put us down by 10. I'm sitting here thinking that we're still in it. Imagine we scored there and then I finally had the realization we couldn't have won. Who is this? Who was that? I've never seen that head coach in my life. He's got the KD build, except he's not even tall. Oregon wins their first natty. And I think I'm actually going insane. Now, we're going to go ahead and just spend some of our coach points here. We might as well spend a little on running backs too. It'll help in this transfer portal period. But you know what doesn't help? These two guys being our coordinators. I also got so confused for a second. Why would Couch want to transfer? He was our starting quarterback. It's because he doesn't think he's the starter because we have a higher overall receiver at QB. And this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We're going to lose our good quarterback due to playing time. I can't. We also have to say goodbye to one of our best linemen. He'll probably be a 4-star transfer. Austin Cantrell, projected first-round pick. Everyone else, though, is just graduating. And without even knowing it, we could have passed up on our prime years with Middle Tennesse. I feel like by this point, we've hit our ceiling. Nothing else is going up farther. We are not getting higher in team prestige. It is still 3 stars. And a lot of the transfers just don't want to come to our school. This is the biggest tease ever, by the way. Marshall Couch, after entering the portal, realized, oh, I would have playing time there. And then he got to his top 8 while having us at number 9. This game is trying to make me rage. And we are going to be forced to having a season where Cortez Pippen is our starting quarterback. Let's just hope that training results actually help him boost up some of these stats. After just cooling down, locking in for a little bit, and trying to sign as many of these guys in the portal as I could, I'm in a better place mentally, but I don't think our team's in a better place. That's because some of the main transfers that I wanted, like freshman defensive tackle Shakir Cantrell or this 4-star right tackle, didn't choose our school, but the rest of them did. And look at that. Hang on. Dalton Lemons has elite development. The 3-star has actually panned out so well for us. We have a quarterback. We have a quarterback of the future. Everything is amazing. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. How did he get like elite development? He had 85 throw power. We got the number 34 class, but again, Dalton Lemons is the future. I can't wait to see what he turns into. We actually just struck gold. The only thing that worries me is his deal breaker. It's playing style, which can vary quite a bit, but if we're not doing well offensively, well, that's going to be his fault. He might start for us this year. And it's that time where we just start moving some of these gadget receivers over to running back. Even though he's 6'2", I think the best conversion is going to be Shaq Arnett. We're just going to let him become a 92 overall. And from what I can tell off of these training results, this team is worse than the one that we had last year. That's not much of a question. I don't know if it's that much worse, but it's definitely not better because Cortez Pippen, 5'8", is going to be our starting quarterback. He has 40 throw under pressure, 72 short throw accuracy. I mean, this is going to be a disaster. It's either we start him, though, or we start like a 68 overall. We might as well just let him see what he can do. But we're probably going to waste guys like DeMarcus Lacombo, who already don't like our playing style, and he's elite development. How are we going to throw the ball enough to where he's going to decide to actually stay at our school? I'll tell you right now, I don't care what this preseason poll says. We are not going to be this good. And it's a bad year to potentially have a pretty big setback because there's a 5-star corner that we could get. I don't care about his deal breaker. There's also a really good quarterback again, though. We already found our guy. We might not even go after Chad Newsom. I don't know. I'll figure it all out tomorrow. Well, it turns out Chad Newsom is going to be a 4-star gym quarterback with 96 throw power. He's better than anything we've ever found. So we're going to see if we can get him. It's no offense to Dalton Lemons. I just think his deal breaker could be an issue, and his accuracy still has some really bad skill caps alongside only 85 throw power. For now, though, it's Cortez Pippen season. I really don't know how the year's going to go. And I guess this will end up being a good test for how much stats actually matter while simulating. He threw 2 interceptions, 62% completion percentage against an FCS school. So I think we can pretty safely say we're not winning it all this season. We have also already ran into an issue where we discovered the correct hard sell, but Georgia and Tennessee are going to run away with this battle. So we can allocate some of those hours elsewhere, and I don't think we're going to beat Tennessee. Louisiana Tech is probably the first week where we should actually have a visit. That's going to be the same week we plan on having a 4-star quarterback visit. I hope that we don't lose. But if there's anything we can learn from this, a lot of guys are not going to be happy with our current playing style, even if we do win. I mean, we scored 41 points on offense, so that is pretty good. Cortez Pippen, though, he completed 81% of his passes, still no touchdowns. And I would think that he'd average a little bit more rushing yards on the ground, but then again, he only has 85 speed. If I'm remembering right, though, we used him last year against Tennessee, and it was still somewhat of a close game. So this could still work out for us, even if he's not the traditional quarterback that you would want. This is going about how I thought it was going to go, though. we're just not able to move the ball. And if our defense doesn't literally play perfectly, then we're in so much trouble. Tennessee is going to get us to a 4th and 3, where we're already down by 14 points. We're going to hit our halfback angle route, but it's an awful pass. And so, like you would expect, it led to us losing by quite a bit. What that result has done has pretty much solidified we will not be in the playoffs this year if we lose one more game. But against Louisiana Tech, we put up 45 points, so I feel like we're still doing pretty well on offense in sim. In fact, Cortez Pippen threw for over 300 yards. He also had an 82% completion percentage. And it was during Chad Newsom's visit where we are so close to landing the 4 stars commitment. His hard sell is also the best one that we've had on a quarterback of his caliber. We signed Moses Irvin, a 4-star gadget gem, but we are going to lose out on this right tackle. This right guard will probably go to Ole Miss too. And sometimes that's just the way that things happen to work out. If we're being honest, the one player I really cared about in this class turned out to be Chad Newsom after we already found a quarterback last year that we thought we were going to lean on. And even though we just picked up another win, even though we held Coastal Carolina to 0, I am very nervous to play even a conference game like this because I don't know how we're going to do. For whatever reason, the sims seem to be different whenever you sim from the menu versus simming while actually hopping into a game. It's just something I've picked up in my limited data, but that didn't seem to apply here. We're up 24-0. We're cruising to success against FIU. I've just noticed in some of my rebuilds though, we'll have teams where we score 50 points per game when we're simming in the menus, but if I sim to the 4th quarter after hopping in, sometimes we'll struggle to get past 20. So I'm still standing on my theory that the two sim systems are different between hopping in and simming from the menus. I've also tried to figure out if quarter length has anything to do with it, but I haven't been able to figure out anything on that end. A couple more 4 stars have committed. And if we don't get 5-star corner Floyd Lampkin, it's not going to be the end of the world. We just don't have a hard sell that's going to win him over. He cares about conference prestige. He'd transfer in like a season anyway, but we might as well start taking some of these prospects off of our board that Georgia took away from us. For the rest of them, I think we're going to lock these guys down. So we'll see how this team's doing as we get later on into this season. Well, the year seems to have gone about as well as we could have hoped. Outside of that loss to Tennessee, who finished 6-6, they weren't even that good. We won every other game on our schedule. Western Kentucky definitely kept it the closest. And we have cruised to the top of Conference USA once again, where a lot of these teams just aren't that good. If we're just being real, it's the only reason that we've been able to have sustained success so far in this video. If we were in a tougher conference, this would not be possible. But we still have to take care of business in the conference championship. We can't lose. And I'm trying to put Louisiana Tech away on a 4th and 4 that if we convert, game's over. Is this a throw that we can actually make though? I mean, it should end up being okay. They're not going to get this onside kick. That came kind of close though. Instead, it's going to be a return that we could pull off for a touchdown, and that's exactly what we're doing. But seriously, we're going to get so embarrassed in the playoffs. And the season's basically a wash, except we're going to lose some of our best players since our offensive playing style hasn't been good enough. Georgia's going to win the Heisman Trophy with Terrence Hollins, by the way. That could be a player they've stolen from us. Either them or Tennessee has taken a majority of the highly rated prospects that we won. And even worse, we have to play them in the first round of the playoffs. He's from Georgia, though. He is not from Tennessee. Looking at some of our offensive stats, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 68% completion percentage. You would think that Cortez Pippen was actually a decent passer. Shaq Arnett had to carry us heavily. And I feel like our numbers offensively didn't look any different, even with a guy that can barely throw the football. It's mind-blowing, but what we're going to do is we're going to finish getting to tier 3 for everything strategist-wise, and then we're going to go back over to tactician. I think it's time that we start to boost some of our quarterback stats. Maybe this will give him some help. And look at that. Our coordinators have magically left for other jobs. I hope we find somebody better. This is like being addicted to gambling, except I'm just addicted to re-rolling my coaches inside of Dynasty. Bodie Reeder is an elite recruiter, and that could help us a little bit, but instead, we're going to go for Paul Petrino because he has somewhat in talent developer. And I think that'll help out. Jimmy Rogers is the only guy that we can get for our defensive coordinator. Again, it's not working to fire our coordinators and just find new guys every single year. It is ruining our coach stability, but I don't think many recruits care about that anyway. And we have absolutely no path to the championship. I'm ready to just get this season over with and start the next one already. We would have to somehow go through Texas and Georgia. There's nobody out there that believes in us. And there was only one way that we won this game. If our defense showed up, but they didn't show up. They gave up 42 points to Georgia. What type of play can we make with Cortez Pippen? I mean, he literally looks like a little kid back there. I have seen enough, but I think the worst part about him is because he's such a highly rated quarterback overall-wise, it'll make other quarterbacks not come to our school since he seems like he's going to be a stud. And the Bulldogs actually made it to the national championship, but they lost to Miami. This is the stage that I feared the most, though, because I knew that some of our best offensive talent, especially for the future, was going to leave. It looks like we're going to convince one guy to stick back, but Schwartz actually isn't that needed compared to some of these younger receivers. And you know what? The worst part isn't the fact that we're losing all sorts of seniors that were starting for us. It's not the fact that Shaq Arnett is gone. No, the worst part is Dalton Lemons has gone. He didn't like our playing style either. He didn't want to return to Middle Tennesse. That's why I don't like that deal breaker. But we know why it was that way. We are up to 3.5-star prestige, by the way, with Middle Tennesse, so there is a little bit of progress on that side. Our brand exposure is a B. And if we really wanted, we could probably sign this 3-star recruit from Tennessee. It's the only battle that we haven't closed out on already. We still have Chad Newsom coming in. I can basically guarantee he will be starting, but you never know who's going to be available in the transfer portal. We can sign Bryce Bowie back. He was our starting tight end, so that's nice. And in case you were wondering, I did look for Dalton Lemons, but we still don't have a good enough deal breaker to pursue him. Now, as we head into the final week of the transfer portal period, I've already decided this is my least favorite transfer portal class we've had so far. There is simply nobody in here I'm excited about. Maybe Matt Kryspin turns out to be decent, but his deal breaker said he had D+ playing time, which means he's probably like a 60 overall. You know a class is bad as well whenever you don't lose any battles at all. If there's no battles you're losing, there's not talent there. But I think the worst part is even though we got a guy like Floyd Lampkin, a 5-star corner with elite dev, we know that he's going to want to transfer after a year. It's the fact that Chad Newsom only has impact. We lost an elite dev quarterback for a quarterback that seems to have better stats, and he can actually get really good, hopefully, but still, not sure how to feel about it right now. It'll all depend what his deal breaker was. I completely forgot. But you know what? It's proximity to home. I can work with that because he shouldn't transfer away. In fact, if we didn't want to, we could start Cortez Pippen over him, but we might be moving Pippen to another position like running back. To do that, though, we're going to have to take somebody that will most likely never see the field at their position and make them a QB so we can actually move him around. And with a third guy here, I think we can finally get Pippen back to a different position. He's not going back to receiver. He's going to be a running back. He also might not be the only running back on this roster because Carl Schwartz is going to be a 95 at that spot. We have to move him. He returned for another year of school, but look at this. We have 4 senior receivers. 3 of them have 94, 98, 96 speed. I mean, they're way faster than he would have been. And so our best 2 players are going to be running backs. Then some of our other best players are receivers. We've gotten very used to this. Our offense is pretty elite, but our defense is where a lot of things take a big step back. Although the overalls there aren't that high, it is probably the most complete defense that we've ever had. Having depth at corner, we also have that 5-star corner in there. Same thing at safety. But even though it's not a defense we're proud about, it's an 84 overall, so I think that's the highest that we've seen on the defensive side so far. Chad Newsom, his stats are all that matters for us. His accuracy is not going to be good this first year. It's just 96 throw power that we really like. So it's going to take years for him to become good. But by the time that he does, we have 35 freshmen right now. A lot of these guys, if they stick with the team, are going to be so much better. If we can pair those players with one more good class from Tennessee, we might actually have a good future. But I don't love that these are the guys that are available at the top of the state. In fact, forget about the last transfer portal class being my least favorite class we've seen so far. I think this one might be it. And we could still get like 7 4-stars out of it. So maybe I'm just being greedy. But it feels like for us to not just get stuck in this same spot year after year recruiting from Tennessee, we need to get more talent. For the last couple years, we've been losing to Tennessee. I'm hoping it doesn't happen this year. But we are going on the road to Neyland with a true freshman quarterback, and they also have started 1-0 like we did. By now, the rest of our schedule really doesn't worry me at all. I expect us to win basically every game. But it's this one that has started to trip us up, and I don't know if it's ever going to get better. You know what? This doesn't seem too bad currently. We're only down by 4. And I have decided that Carl Schwartz is going to be our starting running back because of his 89 speed. I don't want to be using an 85 speed running back. Also, look at that throw. I'm actually excited to use Newsom with his 96 throw power. I mean, Tennessee's just giving us a free touchdown right here. But our defense that has played so well so far in this game needs a 3rd down stop. This is really throwing me off, though. Tennessee, instead of going for it, instead of kicking a field goal, They're punting it from like the 33-yard line. I guess they really trust their defense to stop our offense. But I don't know why we're not going to be throwing the ball. We're just going to keep on handing it off. We have a decent offensive line. And if we really feel like we need to, we could always pull this little play out, and that'll help us get the first down. Chad Newsom with 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Solid performance for the freshman. But now that Tennessee is starting to take timeouts, we might need a little bit more from him, and that's going to be on the money. Who cares his accuracy is not good? From what we've seen so far, it is. And with one more first down, this game is ours. It's going to be 3rd and long, and no audibles are going to work, so we're just going to have to snap this play as it is. Okay, we're short. We're short. No, we're not. No, we're not. Senior Mitch Coates with the catch, the fight, the spin. So we get to take a knee, and it feels good to finally beat Tennessee again. From this point, we're just going to worry about trying to close out on some of these 4-stars. Oregon is going to be very annoying with Reggie Roy, but we know his hard sell. And even though we're starting a young QB, I think we're still going to finish this season undefeated just because the talent gap is so large. We might be in a similar spot to last year, though, where playing style is going to cause us to lose some really good players. Our defensive tackles are not happy. And sure enough, some of the biggest names from Tennessee are actually choosing Middle Tennesse. However, it's not everybody. As you can see on Coco Grubb, we still need probably another 2 weeks to close it out. If Oregon has a successful visit, they'll take him away. With Lester Carver, it's the same problem, and it's because our hard sells still aren't good for every grade. Tennessee's going to get this tackle, Georgia's going to get this guard, so it's more offensive linemen we can't close out. We're even losing out on this Gym 3-star, the only Gym 3-star that I could find, and we might lose to Memphis too. I'm so confused at why our playing style isn't any good either, because our offense has been awesome. Defensively, maybe we've been giving up too many points to some of these opponents. Louisiana Tech kept it kind of close. But I think outside of hopping in against FIU, I don't care about any of these teams. New Mexico State's not even on our schedule, and we're currently the number 6 team in the country. To my surprise, though, we all of a sudden became number 13 in the country, and it's not because we lost to Kennesaw State. And it's not because we lost to Delaware either. I was very worried when I saw that we dropped. But it turns out we aren't as respected in the college football playoff poll as we were in the media poll, because if we were to go over to the media poll, I guess they've been dropping us every week as teams pass us up. I know our blue chip ratio isn't incredible. It's at 21%. If we had that up at like 40%, we'd probably be ranked a lot higher. But there's only so much you can do. I'm recruiting as many guys from Tennessee as I can. We got 4 4-stars from the state to sign. This kid chose Memphis. We're literally going to have 9 commits by the transfer portal period. I decided, though, we're not going after 2-stars anymore. They're bringing down the quality of this team. We already were cutting too many guys a year. But we'll just have to wait and see how that affects our team depth, because this could actually turn into a really big mistake. Well, I don't know what's going on right now, but FIU has us in a very close game. I'm going to use this 96 throw power and see if we can go deep against them. It's literally just going to be an interception. But this is fine. It's a free 2 points unless they decide to throw the football here. And they did. Now, we have a couple really fast receivers, so I thought we were just going to toast them. But it turns out if we're a little bit smarter about how we move the ball down the field, we can score a lot easier than that. And those couple of decisions are probably going to win us this game. They're settling for a field goal to get it back within a possession with 2 minutes left. But after kicking it deep to us, I have the utmost confidence that we'll be able to pick up a first and just end this game on 3rd down. FIU's the one team in the conference that we knew would give us some problems. But part of that was because Chad Newsom threw 2 interceptions. I'm telling you, he is the one thing that is going to hold this team back, because outside of him, I think it's the best roster we've had. But maybe not. Maybe some of those earlier teams were actually better and we've just gotten worse since. And to finish out the season, we dropped 62 points on Jacksonville State while giving up 24. But I'm more worried about what's going to happen when Western Kentucky comes to town, just because they're our rivals and we've seen them give us some close games. We've also moved up a little bit in the polls to number 6 in the country, but Tennessee is right behind us. And look at that. Chad Newsom wins his first conference player of the week against Western Kentucky. I have to assume that's a solid end of the season for us. And it is. We beat them 58-25. And you know what? I'm coming to the conclusion it's our defense that should be a lot better against other teams like this. And our offense is probably the reason we've risen in the polls the way that we have. But here's the biggest issue that I'm noticing. You'll see Colorado and Houston are both ranked right below us, and they're playing. So a win in their conference championship probably takes away that first round bye from us. So it's no question we're going to be rooting for Houston. Here's the real question, though. Do we fire our coordinator coordinators yet again. At some point, we just have to settle with what we have, but I think we have to just look at the coach market again because I don't like the talent developer build. I don't like the motivator build, so I got rid of them. It's been a tradition throughout this rebuild anyway. We're going to keep getting new coordinators every season. And you know what? I'd appreciate if we lost a conference game every so often just to keep some of these conference matchups more entertaining. I think the combination of having a playbook like Duke's in Sim, though, really helps. Also, by the time we're hopping in, it is way too tight. But this is what I'm talking about. The game just simulates a little bit differently when you're the one playing. Of course, we're going to close this out. It's not hard to make sure you win against Kennesaw State, but if we simmed from the menus, we probably would have given up 30 while scoring 60. What we're going to care the most about, though, is going to be if we got that first round bye or not. Georgia won the Heisman Trophy. We don't have a playoff game. And look at that. Okay, Colorado jumped us all the way up to number 2, so that was one of my fears. I actually wanted Houston to win because I thought we might stay in front of them. USC, even after a loss, they fall. Who else fell? Tennessee fell. I feel like we just got a great spot in this bracket as well. Not only do we not have to play a first round game, but we also get either BYU or Washington. That is a winnable matchup. I don't know about a semifinal. I don't know about a national championship, but we could get to the semifinals for the first time. And that was an odd compilation of teams to see. Chad Newsom with 35 touchdowns, almost 4,000 passing yards, but his 11 picks show his inexperience a little bit. We also didn't rush for as many touchdowns with one guy. It was a split backfield. So Carl Swartz dealing with an injury at some point throughout the year. His wear and tear is probably not going to be amazing, but we did it. Lee's only been getting playing time for 2 seasons, and we had a 1,000-yard receiver. He's got 99 speed. He's the guy that I am so excited about to just throw the ball up to, even if he is 5'9". We got a lot of good coordinators to look at, but I'm afraid we're getting stuck with another master motivator. We could also hire Brad White again. I think we've already hired him before, or we could go for FIU's defensive coordinator. I feel like he's been sitting here for a while. Might as well try and get a tactician in here, but nothing is changing. Just stick with your coordinators. That's the lesson we've learned. We also are going to have to face off against number 5 Washington. Obviously, I was hoping for BYU instead. Both of these coordinators chose us. And let's imagine we do get past the Huskies. We might be playing Tennessee again. I swear if they knock us out of the playoff, the hate just will continue to grow throughout this whole rebuild. I'm just thinking of other ways they could get under my skin at this point. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the first place. We got to deal with Washington. And here's the thing. We're forgetting that Duke playbook. We're going to run with the Iowa playbook. It's just another theory that I have. When you have to simulate to the 4th quarter before you can play a snap, you get curious about what playbooks do better. And I don't know what it is about Iowa's, but it always seems to put us in a better position than Duke does. So I'll take this up by 10 with 6 minutes left. Then we're going to hand this one off, and Swartz is going to get 8. Our goal is literally just run out the clock, but at the same time, you know we got that speed, and we have it on both sides. However, once I have to start playing defense, I do think we get a little bit worse there. We forced a throwaway, but I'm not prepared for the run if they decide to go with it, and that's how they're going to score. I still think we're going to be okay, though. I mean, we're up by 10 points. So we are moving on to the semifinals for the very first time. Guess who has come along to try and ruin our run, though? They were able to beat Pittsburgh, and while doing so, they dropped 52 points on their heads, so this is a Tennessee team that is getting hot at the right time. We have to keep in mind, though, we've already beat them once. This is a team that we can handle, and it's starting to set in. This could be the national championship run. We know we can handle Tennessee. Just give us a close game in the 4th. I think my theory on the Iowa playbook is going to remain undefeated. We get to hop into this game up 24-10. We haven't had to do anything so far, and we might make things worse. However, our defense has been incredible in this game. We got a sack on 1st down. On 2nd down, they didn't do anything. They're going to be on a 4th and 12, and we're going to back our guys off. We don't want to give up anything huge. They throw it up, and we're just going to snack that interception with Lampkin. I'm surprised how good our defensive backs have been. What was it, like season 3 or season 4 where we had a couple 90 overalls? That's the best we've had ever. But as long as we've put together a group of guys that have about 90 speed, the rest of them haven't been terrible. If we hit this field goal, this is going to end this game, making it a 3-possession one, and that could not have been a more perfect kick. 58 yards like it's nothing. Tennessee can't come back from that. And I think I'm going to have to take back every bad comment I had about Iowa's offense in the past. I don't know what video it was, but I used their playbook because I wanted a lot of rushing yards. It might have been the North Dakota State rebuild where I found out how good it could be. And it's put us in the national championship up against the number 2 team in the country, Colorado, but we're a higher overall team. To this day, I'll still say that overall doesn't mean that much on this game. I don't believe it's very accurate, but it at least gives gives us a gauge of how our roster stacks up against the ones we're facing. And what did I tell you about this Iowa playbook? It's magical. Try it out yourself. It might actually just be the fact that our team is that good, but I feel like our roster is pretty average versus some other teams I've had. Don't get me wrong, there's positions like tight end receiver where we are insanely talented, but our defense is typically really weak compared to some others I've done. But for whatever reason, you start using that Iowa offensive playbook and your defense plays like Iowa's too. I'm such a nerd, I want to know like what the back end of this game and how it simulates stuff looks like. On 4th and 5, we could end it right here. Come on. Come on, just give it to us. Colorado would eventually score, so this game isn't over yet. We're still trying to focus on chewing the clock while also throwing interceptions. I thought we were going to get 20 yards. That is not a great sign. They go to their running back on 3rd down, and he's gone. He's going to put them at the 16. Never mind. I feel like we always get them into 3rd and longs, and then we end up giving something up, though we had the flat guarded there. But that still doesn't mean the national championship is ours. They can get it within 8. We got blessed with 3 straight easy drop-ins for these playoff games, and I still might mess it up. It's 3rd and 11. Colorado most likely getting this ball back here. I'm willing to force it, though. How did he get in like that? If I choke this game, I'm never hearing the end of it. That's the type of stuff that's on my mind, which sure doesn't help, but he can't make a decision. And that just blessed us. 4th and 20. We're dropping everybody back. Please take a check down. Please take a check down. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm such a pansy. I wasn't even clicking on. We were going to let the CPU make the tackle because we have been able to do it. We've won a national championship only recruiting out of the state of Tennessee. I don't think I ever want to attempt a challenge like this again. The only thing I think could have made this a little more enjoyable is if I left on the manual progression so we could take some of those 2 stars to new heights and actually have them be impactful. Maybe even at quarterback, because if we could have gotten a player like Matt Kryspin one of those years and just upgraded his accuracy, we would have been fine at that position, but he wouldn't have had as good of an arm. I don't know, it felt like outside of receiver, every other position was so inconsistent for us for this whole video. I guess running back was always good too because we just moved guys over there. But outside of all that, what a basic team to win a national championship with. For the first time, I am able to finish with the highest coach winning percentage in a video, by the way. I mean, we only had 15 losses this entire time. That is just wild to me. And it's honestly sad that we only put 4 players into the NFL. But that's what happens when you only recruit out of one state. Now, I could still do this with a school like Cincinnati in the future. I've been told to do it out of Ohio. Maybe we use a MAC school. I don't know how I want to approach that, but I'll have to think about it. If you all want to see that or any other type of rebuild before college football 27, let me know down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.